Greetings, everyone. And welcome to a very special Halloweeny episode of Monster Party.
Monster Party! It's monsters, it's Halloween! It's the Halloween extravaganza!
It's the Halloween extravaganza, and it's happening tonight.
And it is such a huge show.
It's a huge show. We're in a different place.
But speaking of huge, who are you, sir?
Thank you, Larry. I am Matt Weinhold.
I am Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
And boy, this episode is going to make your Halloween. It's going to knock your socks off. It's going to knock the head right off of your Halloween costume.
Because this is our Halloween extravaganza episode.
Yes.
And Matt, what is our topic?
Our topic is Halloween, Hollywood style.
Halloween, Hollywood style!
Nice.
Oh, yes, it's all Hollywood.
Hooray for Halloween.
Halloween. You can be a zombie.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Sorry.
great. But let me tell you, how do you do this show?
How do I do? I don't know.
No. You know how you
I'm
do
still
this?
trying to figure that out. We almost didn't have a show.
But you have to get yourself an amazing guest.
Yes, we do.
And Matt, let me tell you something.
Yes, please tell me.
We have a spectacular guest for this episode.
Please.
Our guest was born and raised in Hollywood, began as a child actor who appeared on such classic TV shows as Leave It to Beaver, The Adventures of Hozzie and Elliot.
Hozzie and Elliot.
Yeah, and Lassie.
Hozzie and Elliot. You want to start that
I
again?
never heard that one.
Ozzie and Harriet?
Yeah, not Hozzie and Elliot.
No, Ozzie and Harriet.
You said
Hozzie and Elliot.
Well, we were talking about E.T. earlier, and I got carried away.
First of all, to our unnamed guests so far, I really want to apologize.
But let me just tell you, in his early career, he rubbed elbows with the likes of Boris Karloff and Peter Lorre. He was friends with Stan Laurel, Groucho Marx, and famed silent film star Harold Lloyd.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, let me tell you something.
Already telling us some great
He's
stories.
worked as an actor and producer, but probably best known for directing possibly more TV sitcoms than anyone in Hollywood.
Wow.
His credits include Perfect Strangers, Full House, Step by Step, Family Matters. Shawn, that's one of your favorites. And a ton of shows for the Disney Channel, such as That's So Raven, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Ant Farm, Jessie, which is one of my daughter's personal favorites, next to Dog with a Blog. And also he co-created the famed Disney Channel Miley Cyrus breakthrough classic hit show, Hannah Montana.
Wow.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's not only a talented and busy working director here in Hollywood, but he's one of the most knowledgeable horror film buffs in town.
I'll say.
And owner of possibly the world's largest monster horror collection on the planet.
I don't even know about possibly.
In fact,
I think it is,
Monster
for sure.
Party, guys, Monster Party is fortunate enough to be recording tonight's Halloween extravaganza episode in our guest house, surrounded by his mind-blowing collection. Put your hands together.
Please.
For Rich Correll!
Thank you.
I'm sorry, it wasn't Hozzie and Elliot. It was Hozzie and Eric.
But I think you directed that show too, didn't you? Weren't you on that?
I didn't direct it. I was on it.
You were on Hozzie and Elliot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you know what? Everyone's probably saying, so you got this great director and horror guy. Well, how could you possibly top it? Well, we've topped it.
As if that were not enough. We have a second special
It's
guest.
never enough for Monster Party.
Second guest! A second
You're lying.
You know her from 5 seasons on the 5 seasons on the E Channel's Girls Next Door.
Yes.
What?
You've also seen her in Entourage, Curb Your Enthusiasm,
Yes.
The House Bunny,
Yes.
Scary Movie 4, Celebrity Paranormal Project,
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
The Search for the Next Elvira,
Oh, I saw that.
and her own reality show, BRIDGET'S SEXIEST BEACHES.
Oh, Sexy Beaches.
Good.
And her love of all things horror has earned her the title the Queen of Halloween.
The Queen of Halloween.
We're so happy to
Halloween.
have Bridget Marquardt with us tonight. Thank you,
Right.
Bridget.
Yes, thanks for having me.
We're so excited.
Beauty and the Beast. Well, no, maybe
You
not
got
Beast.
that right.
Wow, you're right out of the gate.
Oh,
Already.
Oh, man.
He has a tendency to insult our guests for no apparent reason.
We are so thrilled to have you guys on Monster Party.
this is
You guys,
awesome. This is awesome.
you guys are Hollywood Halloween icons here,
Aw.
Yes.
in this town of Tinsel Town.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
And as we sit here, in Rich's home, which is just
and my new home, by the way. I'm moving in
Do you have
tonight.
any kids?
Just you guys.
Yeah, we're up for adoption. I will absolutely disown anyone in my family to come live here.
How would you describe this place?
It's a museum. It's a festival. It's a haunted house. It's everything we love, like plucked from our brains and now set up all around
Yes.
us.
Nice.
It's like a celebration of science fiction, fantasy, horror, and Halloween all combined. And I feel at home.
Rich, could you kind of explain kind of like, Rich, what we're talking about here? Like, what are we surrounded by here?
Well, in October, I set up a lot of stuff that I've collected, a lot of Halloween stuff and a lot of film stuff that I've collected over the years. And we put it all in these different rooms and light everything. And people come in and go, wow, do you live in a house like this all the time? And I go, no, not all the time. And Bridget says,
I said, yes, you do. It's like this whenever I come over.
no, and we're in a theater right now. And I've got a lot of pictures on the wall of my dad and his partner. They were famous radio stars and a lot of the comedians that I grew up with and things like that. And then
But you just kind of throw that out there. Like, it's like, your dad was who?
my father and his partner were the two most successful radio comedians in history. They were Amos and Andy. My father was Andy. This goes back a long way.
Yeah, sure.
Some of our listeners
Yeah,
may not
yeah.
know radio. or
It's radio. They were like radio pioneers when radio was just starting.
Yeah, they're
What
huge.
years was that?
They started in 1928 and they were on the air until 61. But if we do a sitcom these days and it goes like 100 episodes, we think, oh my God, this is such a big hit. Like we do something like Happy Days, which was 254 episodes. We think this is the biggest hit in the world.
Yeah.
They did 10,419 episodes.
Unbelievable.
So they were huge radio stars. But the thing is, what was cool was growing up in that home, and my father was this really nice, sweet, humble guy. He was great. But we had all these vintage comedians around us all the time. And when I say vintage comedians, it's like Harold Lloyd. Like vintage.
Harold
silent film.
Lloyd.
Yeah, Harold Lloyd. He was like one of my best friends. And Stan Laurel was a good friend. I worked for Groucho for 4 years.
Stan Laurel, you're going so fast here. Like
Okay.
Stan Laurel from Laurel and Hardy,
Yeah.
big comedy
Yeah,
team.
like
sure.
comedy legends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I wanted to meet him, and I wanted my dad to arrange a meeting with him. And my father said, "Oh yeah, I will." He never got around to it, but Stan was in the phone book in Santa Monica. Laurel, Stan. It's like, no, that can't
my
be.
gosh.
That can't be true. So I call this guy up. Hello, is this Mr. Laurel? Yes. The Mr. Laurel? Well, I think so. I'm the only one here. And he had this whole routine. He did this whole routine
Oh
with
my
people on the phone. It
gosh.
was great. So I got to know him, and I started going down to visit him on Sundays. That was a great part of
Oh my
growing up
gosh.
because he was great. Really cool. The only person I was ever nervous to meet was Stan Laurel because to me, he was like the biggest star in the world.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
we-
of the
really?
funniest people ever.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
grew up watching him on TV. So,
Yeah.
All right, so you're growing up as a kid in Hollywood, all scrappy and stuff, but you got into some TV shows yourself, though.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
as a child actor.
yeah.
Yeah. And when you walking through the door, it was kind of exciting to look at your face and go, "Oh my God, it's Rich." It's
Oh, well, that's nice of you to say.
yeah. No, I'm from Leave It to Beaver. I mean, I watched that show.
Yeah, come on, you're just showing how old you are.
Well, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I watched it because it's syndication. It was just on rotation
Right, right.
continuously.
Oh, yeah, not the original broadcast of it. Then you're too young.
No. Well,
So just so I don't, so we're clear here. So you were on Leave It to Beaver. You were a buddy. You were one of the buddies of
Yeah,
Beaver.
I was one of Beave's friends. I was kind of like of his friends. I was kind of like the nasty guy. I mean, the most famous character on the show was Eddie Haskell, but he was
Yes.
like he was Wally's friend.
Yeah, that's
Right,
right.
So they were older than we were.
but you
Right,
weren't you weren't too nasty. Like you had a little bit of an edge to you.
Yeah, I mean, Hugh Beaumont's character once said, "Oh, Richard's calling Beaver," and June said, "How do you know it's Richard?" He said, "Because he's the only one that doesn't sound like he's afraid of parents." So that's kind of how I really was.
Yeah.
So that was fun. It was Jerry's still one of my best friends. I was best man at his wedding, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
he's still my bud. We've been friends for a long time.
Okay, well, this is what I want to know. So you're doing these shows and stuff, but you're a kid. How did you get into monster stuff?
Yeah. What crafted your influences as far as like becoming a monster kid?
Well, this is like in the late 50s now. Beaver started in 57. I wasn't in the first two seasons, which were the best seasons they did, but I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, come on.
I came in season 3, but Jerry and I loved watching Shock Theater in Los Angeles. It was on Friday nights, and they bought the Universal
Right.
package, so everybody watched that.
That was like when they first started showing them on television.
Yeah, and our-
Zachary and all those.
And our Bible was Famous Monsters of Filmland.
Of course, yeah.
Well, when we were working at Universal, we had a makeup man named Bob Don. Bob Don was Jack Don's brother. That's the guy that ran the makeup department. And we kept saying to Bob, by the way, there's I'll tell you some Creature from the Black Lagoon stuff.
I'm a big Creature fan. Big Creature, right, Bridget?
Well,
Bridget knows.
Bob is in all the
With it.
publicity pictures behind the scenes building that suit because Bob did it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we kept saying to him, well, you got to take us to the makeup lab. You know, we're little kids. We were like 10-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Take us there, take us there, take us there. So finally he said, okay. And when we were taken up there, it was really cool, but you wouldn't believe the stuff they were throwing in the trash.
Whoa. They threw stuff out in the trash?
Well, they threw the land creature suit in the trash.
Oh my
And it was
gosh.
now at auction would be worth about $1 million.
$1 million.
gosh.
Yeah. But they threw that in the trash.
Oh, I think
So I was looking.
Morons.
I was
So
up
that's
there
the one
visiting.
that like Ben Chapman was wearing.
Yeah.
one.
Right.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
So I was up there visiting, and I looked in the trash, and they had a foam half mask from a movie called Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde,
Oh yeah.
which was made in 1953.
Love those Mr. Hyde.
And
Love that design.
And Karloff played Hyde.
Yes.
But at the end of the movie, like 5 Bobbies
Yep.
turned into the monster,
Right.
and I think that was one of these heads.
Okay. Okay.
So I knew what it was because of 4-H magazine and stuff. And I
Right.
said, "Can I take that out of the trash?" I was a little kid. Yeah, we don't want it. And that's how I started. That's the first thing I
That's what
collected.
started
That's
you
what started it. Yeah.
Wow.
on this.
By the way, I still have that.
Bud Westmore mask.
It's under
yeah.
glass because it's so old.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
probably
gosh.
But you have to think about this. At first, my first initial reaction, Rich, is that I get really pissed off. But you have to understand that at that time, they're making these props or costumes, whatever. They never intended these things to last.
There's no-
the time,
Yeah.
the test of time.
But
and
worse
they
than
just-
that is nobody cared about it. I mean, when,
Yeah.
when I was on Lassie, I was doing some Lassie shows, and we
Yeah.
were shooting at Desilu Gower at the time, which was RKO,
Yeah.
then Desilu Gower, and then it became part of Paramount. But when we were there at Desilu Gower, they had the miniature department. And now everyone goes, uh-oh, the miniature department, RKO, So we went in to visit this one-story building. It was, kind of one little custodian. No one cared. And all the miniatures from King Kong, Son of Kong, Mighty Joe, everything was there.
Oh
And
my
no one paid
gosh.
any attention to it. It was all rotting.
Oh,
And so sooner, had I known,
sure.
I would have said, hey, look the other way for a minute.
You would have
and walked
snagged
off
one.
with the Triceratops.
You could have a
Right,
pterodactyl here.
You could have had Lassie.
But you know why? You were a good kid though. You didn't.
I couldn't do. I wasn't going to steal things.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do that. But then a lot of that stuff ended up in open storage under Stage 32 at Paramount, and that's how Forey got a lot of it.
Yeah,
because
Okay.
it was just rotting down there.
I saw some pictures. I've seen some pictures of some teenagers who actually took photos of some of those, and they were in really bad shape. The little stuff was like rotting away, but still the armatures were still
And
there.
also, in those days, there was a lot of people who didn't care about that stuff. They didn't
Yeah.
think it was worth that kind of money.
No.
Right, yeah.
So, the stuff is priceless now, but in those days, like, no one paid much attention.
But see, it's more than just money. To me, it's like it's part of film history. Even at that time in the 50s, King Kong was made in 1933.
Right.
So, time had passed. It was still considered an epic film.
When
And-
we saw that film, I think the first time I saw it was 1957, and I was literally, that's my favorite movie. If you look at the new version, not the Peter Jackson version, but we took the old movie and restored it.
Right, the restored section.
In the special features, I'm in there with Peter Jackson
Yes.
talking about the movie because that
Awesome.
was my favorite movie, and I'm connected to it in a lot of different ways.
Mhm.
And when I saw it, it was the one time I can remember really being transported to a completely different world. I was so mesmerized by this movie. And it came on this thing in LA called the $1 Million Movie, and they'd play it every night and twice on the weekends.
Yes.
Right.
And we started having parties with our friends to gather to watch this movie.
They showed it a lot, like WOR TV, New York. They showed that movie King Kong all the time.
Yeah. And Fay Ray, who I got to know because I did this show in 1983, which was as a matter of fact, that's how I met Hugh Hefner.
Oh.
I did the show in 1983, which was the 50th anniversary premiere of King Kong at the Chinese Theater.
Oh.
Jim Danforth rebuilt the entire bust.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
And all
I
these
remember seeing
artifacts
pictures.
at the Roosevelt Hotel and everything.
Yeah.
Fay Ray said, why, you love this movie. Why this movie? Why this movie? And I said, you know what? It reminds me of a lot of great stuff. It got me into show business. My dad didn't get me into show business. It was King Kong that did.
Really?
Because when I saw that, I said, I have to be in the business of this fantasy stuff.
Right.
I just love it. And she said, but why? And I said, you know what? It's just like visiting an old friend. The movie to me is like an old friend. And by the way, I can't even count the amount of times I've seen it. That's not an exaggeration. And every time I see it, I see something new.
Yeah.
So it's such a great movie.
It is.
I
really
met
is.
Miriam Cooper. I met Ernest Schoedsack.
Wow.
I met Fay Ray, Robert Armstrong. James Flavin I worked with, who played the first maid who played Briggs.
Really?
Yeah. So I was really connected to that movie in a lot of ways. And so, you know, when I saw all the miniatures, of course, I knew what it was, but I wasn't going to steal stuff.
Right. Now Faye did over 100 movies. And the funny thing is I read an interview somewhere where she said she never thought that this King Kong movie would be the film that she'd be remembered for.
She made 11 movies just in that year.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my God.
she actually did, what was it, the
Most Dangerous Game?
Dangerous Game at the same time.
Yeah.
They were using
Same
the
sets.
King Kong swamp they were using for Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah.
And I guess she had a blonde wig, you know?
Yeah. They used Steiner's score.
Uh-huh.
Noble Johnson was one of the bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that stuff.
But she never thought that this would be the film that she'd be remembered
And
for.
you know what? After the years went by, she was glad, though, because a lot of actresses working at that time that weren't, you know, either Claudette Colbert or Jean Harlow or something were forgotten later.
Exactly.
And nobody ever forgot about her. Everybody, she was like still a household name when she died, which was great.
It's true.
Yeah. And the last thing she ever did was she watched King Kong on TV with her grandson.
Oh.
Wow.
And then she died the next morning, died in her sleep.
Oh,
She was
man.
96 years old.
Oh, it's
Great life.
wow.
Great
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
That
Wow.
film is so economical. It's so like the way that thing starts and ends, it just is nonstop from beginning to
storytelling
end.
is
There's no
amazing.
wasted space.
No.
Just as so many great things, trend setting it did. Not only special effects, but I mean, Max Steiner's score the score was recorded in 32 because the picture was released in March 33.
Mm-hmm.
The score that's when a score becomes part of the cast, and that hadn't been done a lot in the movies at all. And that just taught a lot of composers how to really score movies.
Yeah.
It seems a bit heavy-handed, but if you look at the movie now, it's not at all.
It works perfectly.
And so there's
for
a
it.
lot of really great, innovative stuff about it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, O'Brien's work was crazy good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
that
it was
T-
just,
T-Rex
that's my favorite
is
movie.
amazing.
Mine too. Yeah, you know, so I understand. So you're a Hollywood kid, you get into the business, and I see that. Bridget, what about you though? When did your love of horror stuff start? Were you a kid? Were you the odd girl that you know looked at monster books or something? What's your scoop?
Well, mine is I just loved scary movies from the start. And
When you
I
were a
think
little kid?
When I was very little. Like watching slasher films before I should have even been doing that.
Whoa.
My parents didn't care.
Your parents didn't
They
care?
were totally fine with it. And I think the reason that I loved doing it is because I'd have my cousins come over and we'd have slumber parties. And our goal was always to stay up all night long and watch scary movies. We never made it all night long.
No.
But we tried.
But you were watching like what, Friday the 13th
Yes,
or Halloween
yes.
or like the
All of them.
slasher
Yeah,
stuff?
Really?
everything.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Really?
Was there one special one that hooked you, like King Kong, Hook Rich?
No, but I think it was probably Friday the 13th. Those were, I loved Friday the 13th, but I also loved Halloween. It's just all of it. And I think I just loved having my cousins over. I didn't really get that scared.
Really?
I take it back. I got scared. But I was scared, but my cousins were always much more scared than I was. So
Oh.
I've always loved scaring people. So I loved that they were scared. And it was just fun. And that those bring back good feelings for me and good times. And the same with Halloween. I had a really big family. I had like 13 girl cousins that were all around the same age as
Yeah.
me.
Wow.
We'd all meet at my grandmother's house for Halloween, all our costumes, and go trick-or-treating. And it's just always been a really fun time for me. And then when I was in the 8th grade, I was in charge of I was like a spirit leader. It's not like cheerleader.
Spirit
it's
leader,
more
like what, ghosts?
Seances? Yeah. Wow, that's a very progressive high school.
That's funny though. No, it was like we do spirit days. So like, okay, this Friday everybody has to dress like in the school colors, or everyone has to do Halloween. We're doing a costume contest, or this is backwards day, or twin day, or those kind of things at school. So
Backwards day.
What? Backwards day.
yeah, we do all kinds of weird.
I grew up in San Francisco. And we had that.
Oh, brother.
But one of my jobs was we were doing a little Halloween carnival, and there was this little tiny wing for the kindergarten classes, and they said make that into like a little haunted house.
Okay.
So I was in charge of decorating it for making it like a little haunted house, and it was so much fun, and I really got into it, and I thought it was scary, and everyone got scared, and I was hooked.
Okay. This is my question. So what now? When I I was your age. I built a graveyard out in my backyard, and I used Christmas lights. I put them underneath the ground, and so stuff was
Use
coming
his
out.
friends as the bodies.
No. But what did you do at the school? Did you put like blood splatter stuff? Did you put like bats and pumpkins or what? What was your extent?
I mean, it was pretty tame because it was an elementary school.
Okay, so no slash bodies.
8th grade, I was we were the oldest class there. So, and this is in the kindergarten wing, and it's like just a family carnival. But it was like a lot of the plastic. What do they call it? Visqueen or
yeah, sure.
And kind of just a maze to walk through, and just little scary things here and there. Whatever they had prop wise, because we didn't have like a budget really to go get anything.
So you were in charge of putting together the scares at the school.
Yeah, just that one little section, for the whole carnival. But
where was she when we were growing
what?
up? That's really
I wanna know.
amazing. We were looking for you our entire lives.
Okay, so you did that. Did you start to collect anything? Did you have like a collection of creepy dolls, or did you take your Barbies and cut the hair off and like put them in like green paint, or I don't know.
Dip them in Wesson.
I didn't really collect things until much later.
Okay.
But I did love to dress up, and my brother was really into it too. So he's my younger brother, but
right.
he was obsessed with Michael Myers and Jason. He would dress up like that. I mean, we would dress up on non-Halloween days. Like we would, I would just come home from school sometimes, and he'd be like putting on the Michael Myers mask.
Hi, sis.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what would you dress up as? I get what your brother is, but what would you dress up like?
Well, I would do all kinds of different things. So I usually like scary. So I would do like witch or things like that. But later on, like mansion time and stuff like that, my goal was always to do something scary but still sexy.
Right.
I do that too.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, but in my case, it's impossible. But
Bridget did a costume where she played Bride of Frankenstein, but in reverse.
What?
So the hair
was blonde. Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah. Everything
No. Cool.
Okay,
that's cool. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Costume was a reverse color, and everything was great.
All right, so I understand. So, Rich, when you were younger, you got the head out of the trash. Okay, I got that. And I see you were the big fan making stuff at school. Okay, but you mentioned the mansion, and we know about your involvement with the mansion. Now, Rich, you were involved with the Playboy Mansion somehow, too.
Yep.
Now, how did that connection work out, and what did you do for Halloween at the Playboy Mansion?
Well, it's when Hef was married to Kimberly and the children were very little. Cooper and Marston were real small kids. They would come over here to, like you guys, on Halloween and visit and look at all the stuff and, see all the goings on and all that kind of stuff. And Hef said to me once, we should put some of this stuff up at the mansion and maybe have a party. And at the time, I was touring a lot of it, so it wasn't around much. And I said, okay. So finally, right in the late 90s, when it was around, I got with him and said, you still want to do this Halloween thing? Yeah. He said, yeah. Why don't we do a party? And I said, okay. And I really, it was very hard to be reciprocal to Hugh Hefner.
Sure.
How do you do that exactly? So I thought, well, maybe I could produce this party for him, and if it is, it's going to be like the world's best Halloween party.
Oh yeah,
and
especially at a private home.
Wow.
And Hefner was always a big film fan too.
He was
right?
not only was he a film fan, but he was a historian, and he really knew what he was talking about.
Right.
He not only knew about lots of old movies, he knew about a lot of the old horror movies as well.
Wow. That's
so
cool.
I can remember on different birthdays and stuff, I'd give him a head of Frankenstein or a head of Igor or a head of Dracula. He loved that stuff.
That's awesome.
What was one of his favorite horror films?
Well, the first horror film he ever saw was Son of Frankenstein in 1939, and he had to really, really, really kind of like lobby his parents to go see it because they didn't want him to go see those kind of movies. So he and his brother went to see that, and he used to talk about that all the time. That's the first one, and of course he loved it,
Oh, yeah.
And then he loved King Kong. That's another thing we had in common. That's how I met him. We needed sponsors to do this show at the Chinese Theater. We did this fundraiser for the Motion Picture Hospital, and he was the first person who RSVP'd, yes, I'll do it. So that's actually how I met him. I met him through King Kong.
Wow.
But he loved King Kong. He loved Frankenstein. He just loved all the classics. And by the way, he played them around Halloween time. He played them every year. We'd see them again and again.
Wow.
If I remember,
same thing as fans, you don't get tired of it.
No, if I remember correctly, inside the mansion, when you walked through the front door to the right, there was a beautiful bronze statue, life-size statue of Boris Karloff's Frankenstein.
Yeah, Mike Hill made that.
Yeah, that's stunning.
Awesome.
Wonderful Mike Hill.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, he was also a big fan of Lon Chaney Sr.
Yeah.
And our mutual friend, Wally Wingert, who's been on Monster Party a couple of times, was also a big fan of Chaney. And I think the first time he was able to go to the Halloween party, he had crafted himself. He replicated the London After Midnight makeup.
Great.
And I sent a picture to the mansion and asked, if can my friend Wally attend? And the answer was, well, if he wears that makeup, yes, he can attend.
Yeah. But the mansion party, sorry, Bridget, the mansion parties were great because Hef was so into it.
Yeah.
He was totally
very into it. He loved Halloween. But I was just going to ask you, did you ever see the movie that he made when he was a kid?
Oh, of course.
Scary movie?
Yeah.
No, Bridget, tell us about that. I don't know if that's really common knowledge.
Like a Super 8 film or something he made?
I don't know what it was on. Do you know what it was on?
Yeah, it was 8mm. And it was the Frankenstein story,
Yeah. He did the
guy
Frankenstein.
that accidentally murders or kills one of his friends and decides because he's a scientist he'll bring him back to life, and that doesn't go very well. And
That's awesome.
It was just a little short film, but it was really cool, and he's in it, and he does it.
Was he a kid?
Yeah, no, he's
He's a
like
kid.
16 in it.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
his high school crush is the leading lady in it, and
Oh.
his friend that comes back to life strangles him at the end.
Oh.
It's pretty fun.
And in the end,
Forgive and forget, really.
writes in blood, Finny.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice touch.
And I said, what did you guys use? He said, chocolate syrup, of course.
Yeah.
Now people don't realize that. It's a private home, but it's a large property.
It was
And-
6 acres.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
and so you had to create this Halloween party at this massive place.
I
mean,
had
what-
an idea to do different things in different areas, but
Okay.
but the most fun, I'm telling you this is the truth, the most fun I ever had with Hef, and I had a lot of fun with him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
But the most fun I ever had was because it would take about 4 months to plan that party. But sometime in early September, I'd come around and say, okay, I need to meet with you on Sunday, and you have to give me like an hour and a half of your time. And we would walk around the property,
Mhm.
and I'd say, here's where I'm going to do this, and here's where I want to do that. And, and he would go, yeah, you got to really scare people. Yeah, I really want to scare them,
So he was really into scaring people.
Oh, he loved that. He thought it was great.
That's awesome.
Fun, yeah.
Yeah, and walking around with him, like we were like two 12-year-old kids. It was really fun. And he was totally into it.
That's a side of him a lot of people I don't think know. His love of Hollywood, classic Hollywood, and monsters, classic monsters. I mean, you think Playboy Hugh Hefner, you think the Grotto, you think the rollerblading parties from the 70s and 80s, but you don't think about monsters. But he was seriously into that.
I have to tell you this. When Playboy After Dark aired, I tuned into it as a kid thinking it was going to be something to do with monsters because it was after dark. And there's Robert Culp walking around with a cocktail, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is this?
So what a lot of people don't realize is, so on the property, that's the party that everyone wants to go to. I mean,
Yeah.
even more than like I don't know, New Year's Eve or
Midsummers.
Midsummer. I mean, the Halloween party was it. But what you guys would do is, so you drive on up, and there's this big tennis court, but there would be a haunted mansion. You guys would build like a haunted mansion,
That was rich.
and it had some of the creepiest things in there.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
For a private home, it was like one of the best things in the country.
And
But the party started even before that. Like as you were driving up in the shuttle, they would have monsters like coming up and
And there were,
that's great.
And there were,
That's
and you
great.
guys, they hired actors in all kinds of costumes and the most elaborate
cool.
makeup.
Yeah.
I mean, remember there was this one big devil dude. Do you remember that big devil dude?
yeah.
And they had like this harem of
We had-
like devil
we-
ladies.
We
and-
hired 106 actors.
Wow.
And because it was 6 acres of haunting.
Yeah.
So the whole side hill had people through it.
That's how I got my SAG card.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And then when the shuttle pulls up, then the whole front lawn is a big cemetery.
Yeah.
And all
Oh,
of the
cool.
tombstones, like Hef comes up with little epitaphs for them.
Mhm.
Oh, nice.
There's nothing creepier than somebody running out in front of your car. I always remember that scene in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre where they're going back to the house when they've got the girl now in the back of the truck.
Right.
Everyone from the family just kind of runs out into the middle of the road and
Yeah.
jumping around. And it's
At
like,
the end of the
ugh.
haunting, that happens too.
Yes,
She's
yeah.
driving
Yes.
away and someone runs out in the middle of the road, and that's,
That's
what
right.
kills. She crashes.
Yes,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
yeah, so scary.
It is scary.
Now, also at the mansion, so there's this grotto. Everyone knows about the grotto, and there's this big pool. But so I worked for Playboy for a number of years, and I was one of the few at Playboy TV that would be able to go there to try to my best to interview playmates and ask them questions about Halloween and things like that. And every time I'd go, I was just blown away by all the different statues and creature things that were there. Now, Rich, were some of these your figures that you
Most of them were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I brought a lot of stuff that I owned up there and populated the place. As a matter of fact, Hef said to me in the beginning, yeah, but there's 6 acres and we want people in the house, and where are we going to get all this stuff? And I just went, no. Don't
I
worry
got you
about it.
covered.
Don't worry about it. Yeah,
So
I got
you
covered.
now you know I'm a huge Creature from the Black Lagoon fan, and then I always flipped out as when I would go to these things and I'm there to work. I would see in the middle of the pool there was a Creature from the Black Lagoon statue, and I'm like, oh my gosh! I wonder if it falls in the pool. Maybe they go, oh, we'll have to throw that away. Maybe I can get it. Maybe I can. and so each year I went for 4 years. On the fourth year, the creature looked pretty beat up. Yeah. He had been through a lot. I don't know if he was yours, but
that one I wouldn't. No,
because
mine wouldn't be in. The
no. But I think it's also the Rubies one, the 6-foot statue. Well, not the greatest creature likeness, but it was a life-size
Good for a
creature.
pool.
Yeah, it was
good
the
for
Mark Alfrey one that was good.
Yeah, the Mark Alfrey one was great. But this wasn't that one.
Yeah.
But I remember after the Halloween party, a few weeks later, they were cleaning up stuff, and I had to go across the street at the little bunny house, and there in the garage, leaning over the side, was the creature statue. I went, oh man, I wonder if anyone would notice. I would toss it in the van. Because it's so beat up. I asked the guy who ran the mansion at the time, Hank Fawcett, hey, you guys gonna keep that thing around? Oh, Larry, we hold on to everything. We're just gonna throw it in storage and bring it out next year. I go, yeah, but it's falling apart. But no, they held on to it. But poor thing, it probably just deteriorated after a while.
Probably.
Nice job though, asking.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
You got to do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But those parties were so, and also people don't realize how packed they were. You guys, you crammed. I mean,
I think there was like 2,000 people.
Oh, it had to be more than that.
2,000 or 2,500.
It was crazy.
That's a lot.
That's a lot
of people at a
yeah.
party.
Yeah.
Now, did you dress up at the party, Rich? Did you dress, or were you like, "Hey, I'm master of ceremonies here"?
I always dressed up, but I had to keep an eye on everything going on because we had stuff all over the property, including in the house. So I wasn't partying like you were. I was like running around taking care
I
of
wasn't
stuff.
I was working. Okay, I just want to point that out.
Okay.
Remember those jester costumes you came in?
Sure.
Oh, those! I didn't even know it was you guys.
Well, we like doing stuff like that. We like it so nobody knows who we are.
Yes, I love
it's
that
fun
too.
on Halloween.
So, what are some of the things you dressed up as?
Well, like we said earlier, I did the Bride of Frankenstein.
That was great.
I did Marie Antoinette, but I had the neck.
Oh,
That's
that's
good.
a great idea.
Bloody neck. And then I did one of my favorites was the Corpse Bride.
You did the
that's
Corpse
good.
Bride?
And I committed. I was spray painted blue.
Right.
The hell works. But eyebrows, we totally got rid of them.
Okay, so goofy question here. We've had dinner together. We've had a couple drinks or whatnot. So let me tell you. So you're there with the other girlfriends. Did you ever try to say to yourself, "I'm going to make my costume the better one than Holly or Kendra have"? Or
No. Because I wasn't really. My idea of what I wanted to be for Halloween was usually very different than what they wanted to be.
Oh, really?
Holly was very princess and cute and
Right.
pretty kind of thing, and Kendra was always very
Sporty, didn't she do sports
she
stuff?
was more sporty, so she would be army girl or
Right.
cop or that kind of stuff. And I was always like, okay, I want to be Corpse Bride. I want to be Lily Munster. I want to be
something
Marie
scary.
Antoinette,
Yeah.
but I want my throat slashed.
Yeah,
or,
All the boxes checked though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bridget, you're so cool. Yeah.
She is. She's really cool.
Yeah.
She loves Halloween. Can you believe it? A lady looks like this, and she loves to dress up and look weird.
Well, it's true. We just
one of my favorite recent costumes, though, is when I came to your house and I did Chucky.
Oh, yeah.
I was
that was
Chucky.
great,
wait.
too.
If you were
Female
Chucky
Chucky?
or Bride of
No,
Chucky?
I was Chucky.
Ah.
Yeah. And no one knew who I was.
Oh,
Nice.
It
did you
was
have a
awesome.
mask on, or
No,
what?
I just did my own makeup.
No
Wow.
way.
Do you have a
Picture.
costume plan this year?
I did a Gatsby party that I dressed up for, so that was, flapper kind of thing. And then my friend and I are going to be the Shining Twins.
Oh,
I wanted to
Nice.
do that for so
Nice.
long, and finally this year we got it together.
Matt, we should do something like that.
Yeah, I'll be an elevator and you be blood.
I love that
So,
idea.
Rich, as you started amassing this collection, how competitive is the collectors, arena? I mean, are there just a handful of top echelon collectors like yourself, and do you find yourself bidding on stuff and
Yeah, how do you get some of the best stuff?
Yeah.
Let's say you and Kirk Hammett going at it over some monster piece,
I know Kirk pretty well. He's the stuff he collects isn't exactly the same stuff I collect because he has a lot of toys and masks. I have a lot of masks, but I have more film use stuff than he does, and he's my bud.
Yeah,
I know him pretty well. In the old days, people would either give you stuff.
Right.
Rick Baker gave me a lot of stuff. or some of the special effects, Kenny Myers would give me a bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
But then this auction thing started, and it made everybody so much money that now no one gives things away anymore because it's all worth so much money.
Right.
So in auctions, there's a network of us that kind of know each other. Like Paul Allen just died 2 weeks ago, and Paul Allen was one of the biggest sci-fi collectors in the world.
Yes, that's right.
And he built his own museum.
That's right.
Seattle.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would find myself competing with him and Peter Jackson and people who say to their secretary, "Here, just get this," and then it doesn't matter what to them what it's going to cost. So if they want something, they're going to get it.
Right,
Could you work out some sort of a thing of like, look, I won't bid against you for that thing if you let me win this thing?
I only do that with local guys that I know want to get stuff.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Right.
No, I don't know. The people you don't know, there's a guy in Hong Kong who's a huge billionaire. Is a huge collector. There's a guy out of London that's a big collector. If you don't know them, no,
They won't play ball.
That doesn't
Right,
matter. No.
right.
Nobody cares. I mean, if they know that you're a big collector, sometimes they want to get collect in spite of you.
Yes, I know that feeling. Yes.
Yeah.
No,
feeling's name is Larry Strode.
No, come on. No, we talked about, there's a classic Star Trek episode where it's called The Collector, where this guy, he tries to collect all these things, and he
that's
actually
a good one.
collects
Next
data.
Generation, yeah.
He kidnaps or kind of buys data, and it's a great episode. And I joked with the guys, I said, yeah, and there's also a battery operated Gigan toy, and they go, really? And I went, no, that's in the Larry Strothe collection.
Yeah.
But it just seems like today, like it's like the digital age, and there's so much stuff that's just on a computer. But collecting is almost like bigger than ever. It seems like
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
The big auction houses that do Hollywood memorabilia are making a fortune, and they go out to an international audience that's huge.
Mhm.
So now, I mean, when you want to really like stuff, you have to really be committed to get it because so many people are bidding against you, or so many people at least see the stuff.
Right.
There's a certain kind of stuff that I like. I'm not. It's all science fiction, fantasy, and horror stuff. I don't buy. I don't have a paper collection. A friend of mine named Ron Borst.
Oh yeah.
Has all that stuff.
All posters. Yeah.
But I liked heads and makeup effects and the full-size monsters and things like that.
What is the crown jewel of your collection?
I don't know. I have the dummy in The Exorcist that turns its head around.
Have you seen this?
I'm sure.
No. Have you seen that?
The actual prop?
Oh, I mean, I'm not sure, but I feel like I have.
Come on, The Exorcist.
Unless it's no, he has several exorcists.
Yeah,
so
I
I don't know if I've seen the one he's talking about.
When Dick
There's
Smith,
one right there.
Yeah, when Dick Smith died, everything got out of his lab.
Yeah.
And because he didn't let a lot of stuff out, and then all the Exorcist stuff got out, and he had life casts and makeup heads, busts, and tests of Linda Blair from normal Reagan, all the way to the horrible look.
Wow.
All of that stuff got out, and once it got out, that everybody got. I mean, there's the Exorcist stuff everywhere,
Right.
and a
I
lot of
would
it's.
love to be her one year for Halloween, but how do you make that sexy?
I'll draw you some pictures. I have a few ideas.
Bridget, I have a feeling that you would have no problem making that sexy.
That's a tough one.
That's
I might just have to commit for that one.
Another nice thing I have is the Queen Alien from Aliens.
Wait, you have the Queen Alien?
Yeah. It's 14 feet high and 19 feet long.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really cool too. And I also have a lot of the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park, the full-size ones.
Wow.
That's really cool too.
Where's that stuff?
That's all in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
I keep everything in Ohio.
Okay.
So again, despite what Bridget may think, this is a pretty normal house during the year. Only October it looks like this.
Oh, and listeners, if you could see this, it is.
Yeah,
just
we'll take some
jam-packed.
pictures. We'll show you.
I used to think that Matt and I had, neat collections.
It's taken him 5 years to even include me in the good collection conversation.
I said neat.
Neat. Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. Baby steps.
Yeah. But it's like this is just spectacular, and everywhere I look, it's like, oh, there's a creature there, oh, a werewolf there, oh, Terminator there,
And you have a lot of Predator suits.
I've got like 12
12 Predator suits.
And these are actually
just
worn-
12?
Worn in the movies, and it's from the first one all the way up to the last one.
Wow.
I've got I'm more Predator and Alien stuff than anybody.
Yeah.
It took me about 5.5 years, and I had to piece it together, but I got the whole original Alien suit from the first movie.
Wow.
And that's really cool, too. Paul Allen has another version of that. Version, I say, because it was done in pieces, and then when a lot of it deteriorated and someone had to be rebuilt. I had to rebuild a lot of stuff, too.
Well, again, it's made specifically for the movie. No one really says, oh, we're going to make this last, 50 or 100 years.
Yeah, there's a Alien Resurrection suit in the other room here, and that's the only one they made for the movie. It's in my living room here. But the funny thing about the first suit was they hired a guy from He was from Africa.
Right.
He was like 7'5",
Whoa.
and he weighed 167 pounds.
Slender.
Because when you see the legs on this thing, there's no way anybody could fit in that.
Mhm.
But this
Right.
guy was walking around in a suit.
Huh.
It was so weird.
Mhm.
So, but the other ones, they look like
Yes.
they're built for people to walk in.
Right. Right.
All the Cameron stuff, those suits were spandex
Yes.
suits with pieces sewed and glued
That
on.
should be
Right,
like a
right.
Nutrisystem commercial. Where it's like, you want to get into that alien suit? Nutrisystem.
Okay, now
Eat the meals, lose the weight.
Now Matt brings up a really good question. This is the
Really?
$64,000. Yes, if you give me a moment, if I could say one piece here. The $64,000 question, Rich, that I want to ask you. Okay, so you have all these suits. Did you ever climb into any one of these and go, "Hey, honey, look, you didn't take a moment to climb into the suit?"
No, because the main reason is most of them are in bad condition. They were built to last for a month and a half.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Some of them are 9, 10, 11, 15, 20 years old.
Yeah.
So they have to be rebuilt and then restored. I usually put them on figures and then nobody touches them.
Yeah,
Right.
you
But
got-
Like, you should have like a date night predator suit. Where you
Beth would
keep
love
the marriage
that.
alive. Hey, honey.
Bridget, come on. Wouldn't you do that? It's like, "Hey, honey, I'm getting in my aliens outfit. Come on. Hey, come on, right?"
No, I don't know about the alien thing.
No?
Look, yeah. So what costume would you want a guy? Like, what would be your dream costume to see a
Oh,
guy in? A
God.
guy, like an attractive guy.
Yeah, so, yeah.
What?
Jack Sparrow.
Oh, but that's not scary.
Oh, you want a scary one?
Oh, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, something that's
Or any
like
costume.
sexy but creepy.
Oh,
And
Michael Myers.
Jack Sparrow's a little bit like that. But
See, Michael
Jason?
Myers. See, that's so funny. We had Michael Myers come up to us several times at the Monster Palooza. We're standing there, and Michael Myers
there's
comes. I'm trying to talk
every
to him.
other-
What does he do? He says nothing. Why? Because he's Michael Myers.
Right.
But you know
Yeah.
what? After I'm asking him all these questions, he doesn't say anything. He did give us a business card.
I didn't know Michael Myers had business cards.
Yeah.
Well,
He
this
does
one
now.
did.
how do you think he got all those movies?
It's true. I wonder
Yeah,
if
it's
he's
networking.
audition.
Yeah,
But
But if Nick dressed up, how about Jack Skellington? Would you like that?
That would be hot.
yeah.
Wait,
that sounds like it
Jack
would be good.
Skellington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Bridget loves that stuff.
you like Jack Skellington? So you're a Nightmare Before Christmas fan.
I like it, yeah.
You like?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I love it.
You don't love it?
No.
And you call yourself Miss Halloween?
Wait,
I
how about
Come on.
Disneyland? How about like
Yeah, like when they-
hitchhiking ghosts, that kind of thing?
Okay, I love the Haunted Mansion, but it
Awesome.
does bug me that they switch it to Nightmare Before Christmas.
It bugs you.
You don't,
don't
like
like
that.
so you like the classic,
I like the
classic Haunted
original.
Mansion.
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion.
I would
That's
be
cool.
mad if they never turned it back.
Yeah,
the
I don't-
fact
I don't
that they
mind
can
if they
bring
do
it
it temporarily.
back to its
Yeah,
original
and that's
form
why I'm okay
is
with
okay.
it.
Yeah,
But yeah.
but I'm with you.
But
I
here's
agree.
the thing: they always do it right around my birthday. And so when I go, and I usually go to Disneyland around my birthday
Right.
with friends, and usually the Haunted Mansion is either closed because they're redoing
Oh,
it,
because they're remodeling it, right?
or,
Right.
which is upsetting.
Yeah,
because
no,
on my
that's
birthday,
terrible.
I want to go on the Haunted
It's
Mansion,
horrible.
or it's already flipped depending on when I get there. So that's my.
We
peeve
need
with it.
we need to schedule you an alternate birthday. That we-
I know.
at
Right?
a certain date, like
Yeah,
this is
you're-
going to
you know
be your birthday, Disneyland time.
It's her unbirthday.
Unbirthday. Yes.
Unbirthday.
Unbirthday. Yes. Hey,
Like
come
Alice
on.
in Wonderland.
Yes,
Come on. I knew that.
perfect.
I knew that reference. Didn't you
Yes,
know that?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
But
I like
that's funny
this.
You say that because my fiance's birthday is November 1st, and I tell him that's a horrible day to have a birthday. Like, you really need to change
Yeah.
it. Like we need to celebrate in
Wait,
February.
Wait, you said we need to change that? Is that what you said? Okay, see now I'm a stop motion fan. Okay, now I loved it. I'm in with all the songs, but I will say I like you. First of all, I do like it when they make the switch. I'm a huge fan of the Haunted Mansion, but it's like it's there for a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
and then they
Right.
take it away. Because like you, I'm a
long as
classic
they turn it
fan,
back.
you know. Yeah, I love all that.
As long as
stuff.
they change
Yeah.
it back,
I
I'm
could-
fine.
And the funny thing is, my 13-year-old daughter, that is one of her favorite rides. She and I, we can go on that just a loop, but a loop. Yeah.
But now, have you ever been to any of the other haunted mansions, like in the
I
rest
have.
of the world?
Yes.
Paris?
Yes.
That one
It's
is
cool.
scary.
Wait,
Yeah, it's
Because that one is like
Disneyland
that's
Paris,
Yes.
Haunted
'Cause-
Mansion. What's that like?
Well, because the Disneyland here is kind of jovial. There's humor involved. Where that one's kind of serious.
Well, I felt that everything at the Paris Disney was a little bit more of the grim side of things.
Yes.
So it's very
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah, like the way the French are, right? Yeah.
They've been through a lot.
Yes.
Dragon underneath the castle.
Yes.
and it
Oh, I
actually,
love
like,
that.
Blows fire. and
Wait,
stuff.
cool.
Is that in the Haunted Mansion over there?
No. It's
No,
in
it's
the-
under the castle.
Okay, Sleeping Beauty's
Ah,
castle.
yes.
cool.
Is it Sleeping Beauty's castle?
Yeah,
Oh,
and it
too?
just kind of lies there, and every once in a while it'll lift up its head and
Wait,
growl and blow some
Cinderella-
fire.
Is it-
and-
Well, Cinderella didn't have a dragon under their castle.
Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah, but
Sleeping
Sleeping Beauty.
Beauty.
did.
Sleeping
Yeah,
Beauty.
No,
Dragon.
no,
Not
Rich.
under the
I'm sorry.
castle.
Yes, Rich. Let's get our facts straight, okay?
Oh,
It
no.
was
Now
Maleficent.
you've done
no. Let's be honest here. Maleficent turned into the dragon. So
Right.
was it the Maleficent dragon?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look,
okay.
they only have so much space. You know, they got to put it somewhere.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want them to get their facts straight. That's
Yeah,
like
I
saying,
know. We'll
that's
write
like
it-
saying,
we'll-
oh,
Thank
no,
God they
let's-
passed the Larry Strode test.
Well, it's like, oh, let's put a dragon in Snow White's castle. Oh,
Yeah, we'll
whatever.
get Amnesty International on that.
No. It's like, hey, let's put a dragon with Pinocchio. Hey, come on, don't mess it up. You
I don't
stick with
it's
it.
the French. They can do whatever they want as long as it's cool.
No.
Because
no,
the Haunted
Matt.
Mansion is in Frontierland, right?
No,
Yes,
no.
no. The Haunted
Oh, that's
wait,
right.
in Paris.
Yeah, yes, it is.
In Paris,
Yeah,
because
it-
it's a Western theme.
Wait. What?
It's- no,
yes,
it-
the
it-
Haunted Mansion has a Western
It's a
theme.
different look. The
Oh,
house
okay.
is
It's
different.
the
Interesting.
entrance to it. You do have to go through Frontierland to get to that.
Okay,
He's-
are they
he's
on
correct.
crack?
Yes.
What? That is
no,
that's
it's cool
ridiculous.
because there's an old a haunted like Old West part of the ride that's really cool.
So wait, it's like old miners and stuff.
yeah,
or
and there's
whatever?
like a strange, weird, like haunted bar, like a Wild West
Saloon.
bar.
Yeah.
But it's
That's
cool.
cool.
And
Why
there's-
not? Why not? Why not have
Why is it
variations?
you're speaking up now? Is this you? I didn't know that you had an
What's wrong?
affinity for that.
What's wrong with that? Well, we have the Haunted
we
Mansion
have
as
we
it
have like
is.
5
It
of
should
them.
stay the haunted man. It's New
Here
Orleans
in
Square. You know,
in America.
one.
but-
I don't like mixing that thing. Rich, help me out
Then
here.
don't go to Paris.
No,
Disney had been scaring people for years and years and years and years. And parents used to say, "Oh my God, the Disney stuff, it's just so wholesome." And yet, some of the scariest stuff I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
The two scariest
True.
witches in the history of the movie were Margaret Hamilton in The
Yes.
Wizard of Oz
Yep.
and the witch in Snow White,
Absolutely.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
played by Lucille Laverne. That's the woman who played the witch.
no. This is something I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Which she was a model for.
No,
the
not only
for
that,
the
but she
Wicked
was the
Witch?
voice as well.
Oh, that
wow.
voice is terrifying. When you
Yeah.
go on the ride, and it's called Snow White's Scary Adventure.
Right, that's right.
And my child was traumatized when we went on it for the first time. But yeah, you hear the voice of the witch.
But everything, I mean, the Disney Cinderella, the stepmother, was really sinister and
Yes.
scary.
Yes.
And the same actress, her name was Eleanor Audley, also voiced Maleficent for Sleeping Beauty. And this was a sweet, nice, kind woman. But when she opened her mouth and spoke,
Mhm.
it was the scariest voice. But Disney scared people forever.
Yeah,
Pinocchio was
absolutely.
scary with
Very
the
scary.
Monstro
yeah.
and all
Bambi
that
was
stuff.
traumatic. Yeah.
The Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the transformation scene of the witch into the old crone is so frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
And that
She was really
and that really messed with my head because I'm already, even at that age, I'm already attracted to the Wicked Queen. I'm like, oh, I kind of like this
when
lady.
when she's like still fairest of them
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
See, I was a
Right.
Snow White guy always.
no,
I-
I'm,
you know, see,
anyone
I-
that will
no.
wreck my life,
No,
I'm
no.
You went for the
See, the thing
absolutely
is,
attracted
Rich,
to.
bear with me here. See, I like my woman, like from the 30s.
You like
have
your
a little
coffee?
meat, a little meat on her, and not like the skinny,
A little meat on her.
Yeah, she was a
Yeah.
healthy woman, right, Bridget?
Snow White?
Snow White, yes.
Snow White.
Well, compare her to Aurora from Sleeping Beauty. Aurora's a stick. She's like so skinny. It's like what
Have
you like
would
that?
you ever imagine a million years someone would have this amount of passion about this subject?
I've
It's
actually never thought of their body
Brid-
types.
okay,
me
Bridget.
neither. I never,
Okay, really quickly.
I never watched that movie and thought,
Okay,
boy,
listen.
Snow White's got to eat.
Listen, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about? I brought this up on another show, and these guys have their own opinion or whatever. But let me ask you something. Okay, we remember the classic Sleeping Beauty, right?
Of course.
Okay, so Aurora, little baby's born, and the three fairies come, and they're each going to give her a gift. One comes out and says, "Oh, I'm going to give this little baby the gift of beauty." Oh, okay, so she's going to be beautiful. Then the second one
Don't
comes.
sing that. We have to
gonna
pay for it.
I am doing generic sound.
Okay.
And so the second one comes and she says, "I'm going to give you the gift of song." Oh, and so okay, she's going to be beautiful. She's going to sing really beautifully. And the third one says, "And I'm going to give you the gift of," and then Maleficent comes in, messes everything up, and then she says, "Okay, I was invited. Well, I'm going to give a gift." When she pricks her finger on a spinning wheel when she's 16, she's going to die. Ah ha ha! And she takes off. okay, well, everyone's shocked. And so it's like, well, Meriwether can give her third gift. So she has to give a gift that was not her original gift.
That's right.
So what do you think that gift might have been?
I know what it is, but does anybody else here know?
Well, I thought it was going to be brains.
Brains?
No, she undoes the curse of death to the curse of sleeping.
Yeah, dude, I know that. That's what she, Rich, that's what
I didn't know that.
No, Rich, she says, well, I can't give you the gift I originally wanted to give you because now we have to fix this spell. So instead of you're going to die, you're going to fall asleep until true love comes and kisses you.
Right.
So she had to change the
Whatever the
original.
original.
Yes.
But what
So-
was it?
Well, I think it was I thought it was going to be smart. So I thought she was going to be beautiful. She was going to sing well, and she was going to have brains. But
I
because
thought it was winning the lottery. I think.
But what I want to know is what is it with 16-year-olds from that time and spinning wheels? Like they just knew at 16, they're 16-year-old girl's going to get on that spinning wheel.
Well, because Matt, that's what kids did at that time. Spinning wheels.
Those crazy kids in their spinning wheels.
You had the like computer games. You had your DVDs or whatever.
Get off
that spinning wheel and come to dinner. No, but it
hurts your eyes.
Come on, kids didn't have video games and stuff, so and you had to work. You had to. Okay, look, we're getting off the topic here. What I did want to say.
I don't think it was brains.
Oh, okay, all right.
What do you think?
I think it's Disney. I think it was True Love. I think that she would
Oh,
Now, see how romantic Bridget is?
Yeah.
You guys.
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
bet you
The most
that
romantic
is what it
person here at the
was.
table.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Bridget. Well, speaking of true love,
Go ahead,
and
Grinch.
So we just went from Mr. Hefner. You brought up Disney. I want to ask now. You have some kind of contact with Disney. You were some got Disneyland or something, and you met Walt Disney. What's the scoop here?
Well, when the neighborhood I grew up in was all like A-list movie stars and Walt Disney. He was one of our neighbors.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, my dad. I have a picture in the living room, which I'll be happy to show you. Is my dad about a week and a half before the premiere of Snow White with Disney.
Wow.
But he also cast Song in the South. And
Unbelievable.
That's a classic.
A lot of the characters in Song in the South came from the Amos and Andy radio show.
No,
Is that right? Really?
So Disney was a good friend of ours for years and years. And I used to go before Disneyland. We used to go to his house on Carrollwood and drive the Carrollwood Express, that steam train
He had a small train that you could sit in and ride on
Around his house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one time, speaking of monster stuff, I was in the basement of our home on a Sunday afternoon. We used to have these barbecues on Sundays, and my parents would invite all these people over, most of whom were celebrities, and Disney would come to them. And Ozzie Nelson and Walt Disney, I took down into the basement of our house. My mother was horrified because I had stuffed a dummy with like newspapers of my dad's clothes and put like a Don Post Frankenstein head on and laid it out on a table, like, some barbecue thing my mom had. And I wired Christmas lights, like you said earlier. And Disney came down to look at this and said to me, the way the lights are strung, you have a little too much orange in one area and a little too much green. So let me help you change out the colors.
Wow.
So on a Sunday afternoon in my basement, my house, Walt Disney and I were working on a display that I had built. It was just yeah. But he also invited us to the opening of Disneyland.
Really?
Yeah. And so my sister and I were standing behind him when he cut the ribbon.
Uh-huh.
So we were close friends with his, and we used to see him a lot, actually.
Well,
Now, when you were at this age and you were like around all these legendary Hollywood, I mean, were you aware at the time of just their stature? Or was it just like a normal thing for you? I mean,
Or a little of both.
Yeah.
No, I think that I think we were aware of who the people were because our neighbors were incredible. Judy Garland lived next door, and Lana Turner.
Judy Garland!
Yeah, and Humphrey Bogart. And
I have a cardboard stand. Well, we'll talk about that
anyway,
later.
but I think we appreciated who they were.
Right.
That was kind of instilled by my father, and so it was fun having them around. But it was really interesting because you see these people on television or in the movies, and they'd be at your house.
But it seems like the way that you collect stuff today, because it's not just like, I assume it's not just your love for all this stuff, but like just the importance of preserving Hollywood history.
Yes.
There should be more of that.
Well, especially in this town, it really bugs me.
Like
I know that
in the very town where it
all happened.
originated.
The fact that there was even a danger of movies deteriorating and being lost forever is
boggles
just
my
amazing.
mind.
Well, I mean, that just was this just happened to be the fact about nitrate film.
Right.
Nobody planned that. And like safety film later, which started in 1951, now we know that safety film doesn't last either.
Oh, yeah.
But for years and years and years, nobody knew that either. So that was just that wasn't because of anybody's attitude. Although I think Los Angeles, which has been the hub of, it's movie capital forever, is very, very kind of lacking in interest on preserving history of
Yeah, which I don't understand why.
They've never been, unless they can make a buck on it, they don't seem very interested in it, which I think is a really strange thing. But the thing about the movies deteriorating was simply that's just a scientific thing that happened. And luckily, a lot of people got together before a lot of these films deteriorated and saved them. Half being one of them.
Yeah, that's so great.
He was in on that, so that was great. But, I mean, in this city, it's all about money. And, hey, look, we were going to, when the Harold Lloyd estate was going to go on the auction block, Harold had left instructions to make it a museum or a park or something. And there really wasn't anybody interested in doing it. And he also left in his will to give it away, give this gorgeous property of 17 and a half acres to either the city of Los Angeles or Beverly Hills. And neither one of them wanted it. This was in 1971. And we just thought, wow, I mean, it's such a famous Hollywood thing. And so we went to the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce with Debbie Reynolds, by the way, who was a big collector. And we said, look, you shouldn't let these places. I said to them, this would be like if you tore the Grumman's Chinese Theater down. And a guy went over to another side of the room and he came back and he showed me blueprints to tear the Chinese Theater down. And put up a Safeway. I swear that's true.
Wow.
So once I said, well, this would be like tearing down the Chinese, they were intending to tear down the Chinese.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so I mean,
I never knew that.
And Ted Mann saved it. The Mann's Theater Group, they saved it. But
thank God they did.
They were going to go, oh no, we'll make more money if it's a grocery store.
I'm still sad that they got rid of Jane Mansfield's house.
Yeah.
I actually stopped there when they were out there, and I was like, "What are you guys doing? You're not tearing it down, are you?"
Now, and for listeners, Jane Mansfield, she was like, I don't want to say the poor man. Well, not necessarily the poor man's Marilyn Monroe, but she kind of, because she was a big buxom gal in the 50s around the same time.
Glamour,
if you couldn't get
blonde.
Marilyn, you would get Jane Mansfield, and she had this beautiful giant pink house off Sunset Boulevard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was owned by Engelbert Humperdinck.
For a while, and he kept when he got it, and he kept it pink. He kept everything the same.
It was a heart-shaped swimming pool.
Yes.
There was like pink shag carpet in the bathroom, and the walls and the ceiling and everything.
Wow.
It is a shame how, like, even in this town, that you can't get people interested to save and preserve their own history.
Yeah. I mean, like, you go to Italy and you go to the Colosseum and you go to all these historical places across the world, and here you've got Hollywood and almost like the birthplace of modern entertainment, and nobody cares.
And it's funny,
but even like Universal, I mean, they make so much money off tours. They probably make more money off tours than anything else.
Yeah, it's true.
And even at Universal, the Phantom Stage, which was stage 28, and for years and years and years and years was the oldest standing sound stage in Hollywood. And I mean, it was where they did everything, including Phantom of the Opera. That's what it was named for. They finally just said, well, we're making money with tourists and we're doing, the stunt show and animal show and selling trinkets. So they tore that down too. And that's so ridiculous.
And just recently, my heart was broken as a big Creature from the Black Lagoon fan. And I totally understand. We had David Scow on our show who explained to me, who helped write Creature books and stuff, a big Outer Limits fan. He told us that Universal was draining the swamp, that was the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Right. And they're putting a new soundstage there because they're tearing stuff up for Harry Potter World, which is really a shame.
Well, luckily, part of the tour is the Psycho House.
Yes.
And that's right now at Universal. That's the oldest original standing set, which was 1960 it was built. It's a 3-quarter house above the Bates Motel. But that place that they have at Universal LA, that's the original one from the movie.
Well, thank you.
And and it's only a 3-quarter house, but at least they haven't torn that down.
Yeah, until they have to make room for like the Fast and Furious.
Exactly.
It's going to happen,
yeah.
But I think because people want to see the Psycho House, it's kind of,
of
I don't think it's
course.
any danger of getting torn
I
down,
hope
but
not.
that's why.
Yeah.
That's
I know.
Yeah, why is the Grinch land still around and then they tear down the Phantom place?
Well, I think don't with Grinch, isn't that something they bring out for Christmas though?
Come on. That wasn't even a really popular movie, was it?
You mean Whoville?
Yeah.
Whoville,
Yes. Thank you for setting me straight, Rich. I appreciate that.
Right now, it's just kind of fenced off.
Yeah. Now we had mentioned haunted houses, and Bridget, you said that you've gone to all kinds of spooky attraction stuff.
Especially out in LA, right? There's all kinds
because they have a
always,
lot.
I mean, LA does embrace Halloween, it seems like, as far as the events and attractions, right?
Yeah.
What would you say is like the best thing that you've seen?
Well, I haven't done them all yet. I do Dark Harbor Friday night. Not Dark Harbor. I'm doing a Not Scary Farm on Friday night, and that's usually one of the best ones.
Right.
Is it really? I've never done that.
Oh, it's good.
Is it better than Universal or different? Yeah.
Well, Universal is much bigger.
is bigger in it, but it's
Not
they
Scary Farm is scary.
is scarier.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
What makes
then.
it scarier?
They don't embrace all the normal rules necessarily. So they're a little bit. They don't like do anything to you, but they are a little bit more.
They push the
hands-on.
boundaries a little.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan of rules. You know, I mean, Matt and I, we have an issue.
Yes,
it's like, well,
yes.
what kind of rules do they break?
I mean, they're just a little bit more in your face.
In your
They're
face?
A little bit more
Do they
touchy.
touch you?
Oh, I like
A little
that.
bit.
That's
You
cool.
like being touched like that?
by ghouls and
As
creatures.
long as they don't
yeah.
hurt me, that's
Yeah.
where I draw the
That's
line.
cool.
And it's not.
Is it more for adults? Is it less for little kids?
It's adults.
Okay, yeah.
And it's not as commercial as Universal. Like Universal, you know,
It's all the franchise
Yeah.
characters.
So at Knott's, it's not that.
Right.
So
I have to
it's really-
say, at Universal, the Thing maze that they did was better than the movie.
Whoa.
When they did the Thing prequel.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
right,
Yeah.
And they did a maze, and
Yeah.
the maze was fantastic.
Right.
Okay.
Well, have you guys been this year?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. They have a poltergeist maze. That's pretty cool.
Oh, okay. Oh,
well,
that's
see,
cool.
some people here are big fans of Poltergeist. Some people here aren't such
Yeah, I
big
don't-
fans
I
of
don't-
Poltergeist.
Oh,
No.
well, they
I don't
even
like
had
it.
me
Yeah.
sliding across the counter.
See
Oh,
that?
see,
That's
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, you say that now.
Well, the maze
you
is gonna
like
be
the
cool.
meat. You like the meat.
Maze will be
going-
great.
I want, but I want if Poltergeist was a thing that you walk through in
Yeah.
5 minutes,
Yeah.
then I would love it. As a film,
5 minutes?
no, thank you.
No. I
Universal did a good job on it.
Yeah, they did a
That's
good
cool.
job on that.
Okay.
And I'm sure. And did they have the spooky clown? You know, the little
Yeah,
clown.
yeah.
And
You get to walk in the room and they have the air on, so it's all whirling around.
Oh,
and
cool.
things are spinning
Nice.
Is
on
the
wall.
clown like a little person or something?
Well,
Or
no, here's the only thing. They have it's a big version of the clown. It's sitting on a chair. Which
A
I thought
big
was weird.
version.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
come on! What? See,
Yeah,
Matt has this
that's
thing
sort of
about
weird.
clowns. Doesn't like the clown. I thought the clown was great.
But they have like the TV screen with the
Uh-huh.
snow on it.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
stuff,
cool.
and as you're
See, now
walking
that is
by,
spooky.
a
I like
hand
that.
Pops out.
Oh, that's good. That's
Good.
good.
All right. I like
Yeah,
that.
so they have cool special effects.
You
like
know,
that
the
on
thing that I always love that they do at these mazes a lot, and it's a gag that I fall for every time, but it's when they have someone who's wearing a bodysuit and he's painted with all kinds of speckles, and then the walls are painted with the same
Oh,
speckles.
right.
And he'll just hide in the corner and then just come out.
Yeah.
And I fall for
used
it
to
every
do that.
time.
We did that at the mansion.
Oh, really?
We put it in a dot room. Everything was
Oh,
dots.
nice.
Dots, and then it's black light, and the actors are in these black suits against the wall, and they look like the wall, and the wall comes after.
That is
Awesome.
They
terrifying.
have stuffed animals too.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Wait,
What was that? What was that
what's
one?
the stuffed animal thing?
We did
because I love stuffed animals.
We did a nursery scene, and everything about really scary in these places is misdirection.
Oh,
Right,
yes,
right,
yes.
right.
We did this nursery scene, and in the set there was a crib and a rocking chair, of course, rocking itself, and a whole bunch of stuffed animals laying around and everything. And then this thing comes behind you, and we had a hydraulic thing come out of a bed. And so everyone thought, okay, that's pretty cool. And as they were about to leave, nobody would ever expect that a pile of stuffed animals would get up and run at you.
Oh.
And we took nets and sewed all of these stuffed animals, and then had someone sit on a little stool, like they were sitting, and as they would go by, the whole thing would jump up and run. at
Oh
people.
my
It was cool.
Scared, really scared.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because you
so-
don't expect that.
Okay,
That's
so
great.
let me ask you. So Bridget, so Rich sets up the scary haunted mansion. Did you know what was in there when you went in, or did you go in for the first time and you had no idea and you got scared?
Well, I would go out there and hang out sometimes, and I even actually got to film. Remember the shower scene?
What?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Wait, what's this?
Oh, that was the best.
Whoa,
Yeah, that's
what's the shower
so
scene?
cool.
What's the shower
We
scene?
always had a theme, see?
Yeah, every year was
one
a
of the
theme.
movie things, or the slasher theme ones, we had a psycho room. And the gag was you come into the bathroom and you see this girl, there's a silhouette of a girl, a naked girl,
Yeah.
taking a shower, and she's doing all this.
Yeah.
And that was just front projection onto this thing. And this killer would come from in the shower out at people.
No.
So everything was done in reverse. But the model we used for the girl in the shower, who was underneath the shower doing the whole thing, was Bridget.
No way.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
Wow.
we shot that at the mansion. We shot that whole thing.
Oh,
at the mansion.
That's
wow.
great.
Yeah, it was really fun.
As a matter of fact, I still have that around here. somewhere.
Hey,
I have a
let's
DVD.
put it on, huh?
I have a DVD here that says Bridget's shower scene.
It's not what you think it is.
we did one thing once and it freaked everybody out, where we did a room of The Ring,
yeah.
No,
Oh, that's good.
where we had the
Great.
TV,
Yeah.
in Asylum, and the girl came from the well
Yeah.
through the TV, out of the TV, and then up to all the people, and then reset.
No.
And nobody knew how he did it either. It was so cool.
How'd you do it?
We did it with
No, he's just got to keep his bag of tricks to himself. You know,
Are you
really scary.
I would like to know how you did.
Well, maybe we could do that off mic, huh?
Wow, you're
See,
no fun.
because I don't like the illusion to be destroyed. You're like, oh, I want to wreck Larry's illusion. That's what it is.
hey,
That's, that's
that's
been
what I did.
our
I
whole
woke up this
career,
morning
our
going,
whole
I am going to
career.
trash
It's
your fantasy life.
I talk about some wonderful, precious moment as a kid, and you, blah, blah, blah,
What about you and like Star Wars or Ray Harryhausen, where you like to learn about how these special effects were accomplished when you go behind the
that's what
scenes
part of
and you
the
look at the
appeal
armatures? It's the same thing.
Well,
Now, did you know Ray? Did you get to meet him?
Ray Harryhausen?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, we've had our
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
That guy was awesome.
Well,
Yeah, he was
yes,
fantastic.
the first time I met him, it was back in '93, and at the time, my understanding was he was a little bitter because there was a time when I don't think he was getting residuals or money for the films that had coming out on DVD or something. And the first time I met him, it was there was this group, and he
Sounds great.
What did Ray Harryhausen do to you?
No. But let
Show
me
us on the doll.
No. But the second and third time I met him, he was such a joy. He was thrilled because number one, I was paying him to sign all my DVDs, and he was more than happy to do it.
Yeah, he was great.
And
He signed everything.
He did. He signed everything. But there's a but. Do you remember? There were these when Tower Records was still around.
Yes.
There were these There were actually monsters from the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. They had the Cyclops and the
vinyl
Dragon,
ones.
and everyone
X+,
saw
right?
them. X Plus, and everyone thought, "Oh my God, these are Ray Harryhausen's creations. Oh, I want to get Harryhausen to sign them." Well, here's the thing. I was standing in line. I'm right behind this guy who had a box with the Cyclops. He gives the Cyclops to Harryhausen, and Harryhausen goes, "Oh, no, I'm sorry. I can't sign that. I didn't have anything to do with this particular model." He didn't he created the design for the Cyclops, but he didn't make this particular one, and he wasn't getting any
He wasn't
money for
getting
it.
a
He wasn't
dime,
getting a dime for it. So I thought, you know what? I think he should be like Ray Bradbury, just sign anything, you know. But I understood. He didn't sign that, but he did sign my DVDs.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a great guy, though.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
did a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
He was like the one.
He was always sweet.
He was the one-man special effects department.
Yeah.
Yep.
You always remember the movies called a Ray Harryhausen film,
Yeah.
not a Charles Schneer film or not a whatever.
No, you don't call it a Columbia film.
But also, I mean, Willis O'Brien won an Academy Award for basically most of Ray's
That's
work.
right. Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Bridget, you know that film, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's true, and I think. Don't you think sometimes people are given an Academy Award as an acknowledgement for all
sure.
of your work?
Of course.
And I think
Sure.
that's what that was, because
Sure.
Ray has gone on. He did anywhere between 80 to maybe 90% of that film.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great.
Some of the best stop
It's-
motion. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
It is great, but I am glad that Obi did get an Academy Award to acknowledge
Yeah.
his.
And Harryhausen eventually got the Lifetime Achievement.
He did too.
Right.
He did too. And probably the thing that brought me to tears was I wish they'd given it to him at the official Academy Awards instead of the scientific one. But what was
Right.
cool is Tom Hanks was the one
Yeah.
who gave him the Academy Award. And you
Right.
see Tom Hanks telling him, "Hey, Ray,
Jason the Argonauts.
that's
Jason the
my
Argonauts.
favorite,
That's
my
right.
Yeah.
favorite." And he started talking and because Ray was like so overwhelmed, he didn't really have a speech prepared. But it was so heartwarming that this man whose stuff I grew up loving and appreciating and adoring. I mean, at least he was getting his acknowledgement.
Yeah,
for it.
Landis said that the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad's the movie that got him into show business.
Really?
Because he freaked out over it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
Ray was responsible for a lot of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Later
Rich,
careers.
do you
yeah.
have any Harryhausen artifacts in your collection?
I don't have anything that's an original. Ray, before he died, left strict instructions that his stuff was not to be sold, and it was to be put on exhibit in a museum in London, where it is right now. I wish I knew the
Oh,
name
wow.
of it, but most of that stuff, the original stuff, is at a museum. Now, I went to his home in London and visited him, and he told me that the Emir later became the Cyclops, and he said, "That's my regret." He said, "Because of the way fans are now,
Yeah.
I should have just made a new figure and
Yeah.
kept the Emir
Yeah.
and not made it the Cyclops."
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Because he used the same armature, but he said, "I just should have kept everything." So from the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad on,
Yeah.
everything he made all new stuff and then kept the old stuff. But he had
that's cool.
everything.
Well, it's
he had
like-
everything at his house. It was fantastic.
It's like King Kong and Son of Kong.
There was another big
Right.
mistake.
Yeah.
They tore that down to make Son of Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love is my understanding is this collection of Harryhausen artifacts and armatures. It does make trips around the country. I got to see it when it came to the Academy, I think, and it was on display. And they actually had the lighthouse from the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yeah, cool.
And that poor Cyclops, he only had one leg, but the skull was really cool because you had the space for the one eye. And I love that. And like an idiot, I'm like, oh my God, I have my camera. And I had a nice person come up and say, I'm sorry, no pictures. Oh, sorry. I felt like an idiot, but I got a few pictures.
Did you see the Mike Hill Harryhausen that
Yes.
he made for Guillermo del Toro?
Yes, and people and listeners will remember Mike Hill is this amazing sculptor that we have brought up in the past. If you go to Mike Hill Art on Facebook, you can see all his amazing work. He was commissioned to make this amazing Ray Harryhausen figure sitting in a leather chair, and he has tea and cookies on a plate. And he's got the little skeletons from the Jason and the Argonauts all around him, like helping him. And when you look at it, if you just took a picture, you thought it was really him because it was him as he was probably in the last couple of years of his life.
Yeah. He's an old man in it, but it's a great skull.
It's a great. I think he's holding up. Isn't he holding up one of the skeletons? I think
there's one hanging off his teeth.
Yeah,
and there's one on his shoulder.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that image.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, they. I think Taylor White had it on display at Creature Features for a Harryhausen exhibit. I was like,
Yeah. That skeleton scene in Jason the Argonauts, that movie to me is one of my favorites of his, just because there's so many things, individual special effects moments that just work so beautifully, from the Hydra, all the heads moving independently to.
But the skeleton sequence happened because the one in Seventh Voyage of Sinbad was so popular.
Yes, yeah.
Everybody said that's
Like,
like
how do
the
you
best
top
thing in
that?
the movie. So
Yeah.
how do you top that?
And when you see that fight, just thinking that, back in the day, it was no computers.
No.
It was just
It's somebody,
It was just him.
yeah, just
And a
poor Ray
tabletop.
Harryhausen just doing it frame by frame.
I know.
So hard.
Okay.
It's so hard to do.
So I'm going to tell you a quick little story. So
Okay.
as a kid, remember we didn't have VHS recording, but when I knew that Seventh Voyage of Sinbad was going to be on, I took my little tape recorder and recorded the sequence when Sinbad is fighting the skeleton. Do you remember the great music?
It's all Bernard Herrmann.
Bridget, you know what I'm talking about, right?
don't.
Oh, come on now.
It's not on your iPod?
It's such great music. And what I would do, Rich, is I would take the tape recorder out in the backyard and I'd press play, and my brother and I, my friends, we go, okay, you're the skeleton. And we would fight with each other, and we always tried to time it so someone would have to jump off, not a cliff, but it was like a ledge or something, to play the skeleton.
Yeah.
I never wanted to play the skeleton. I always had to be Sinbad,
Of course.
and then sometimes some Sinbad.
Mad with power.
There are rules.
Oh, yes, I had some rules. Okay, what's wrong?
But that's another famous score.
yeah,
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Bernard Herrmann.
Oh.
And he wrote a great score for that.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Great score for Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff is so great. The history of it is all so great.
So fantastic.
But that made the movie so much better.
Yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit about some people in your past who were famous. I'd heard a story that you had met Boris Karloff and you met Peter Lorre. Can you tell me anything about that?
Well, I was into all the monster stuff, and my father knew that, and my dad had parties at our house all the time. They did a lot of entertaining, but the problem was in those days when we were as kids, if we came to one of the parties, like the adults, everybody had to wear a suit and tie, and the ladies were all dressed up, and we had to wear a suit and tie to go to church. We had to go to suit and tie to be on an airplane or sit in loges in a theater or whatever it was.
Wow.
So he came to me one night and he said, I want you to come, or not, it was in the daytime. He said, I want you to come to this party tonight. And I went, Dad, I don't want to go to that. I want to dress up. Oh yeah, come on, you got to go to this party. No, I really don't. He said, come on, I want you to go to this party. I went, oh, okay. So I dressed up, didn't want to, went downstairs, and there was a guy there named Ralph Edwards who had a show called This Is Your Life.
Yes.
Ralph Edwards' best friend was Boris Karloff. And so this playroom where they entertained, there was a bar, a big bar, and stools. And I walked in and I looked to the left, and here was Boris Karloff sitting at the bar in my home. And I was like, I went, oh no. Here was Frankenstein, It was like very, very, very British, very dignified. He had all of his hair. He had a white mustache, dark skinned. He had like East Indian blood in him.
Yes.
Very dark skinned. And he couldn't have been sweeter. And I walked up to him and I said, oh, Mr. Karloff, nice to see you. He shook his hand. He went, oh, nice to see you. And I went, so let me ask you something. What was it like working with Bela Lugosi? That's the first thing I asked him. And then I thought, why did I ask him that? I was like, oh no. Why did I say that? I was like 10.
But you, I've heard stories. Well, what did he say?
Was he
What did he
polite
say?
about
He
that?
was great. He said, we had a wonderful time working together. I wanted to know, the one film I love much more than Black Cat is The Raven. I love The Raven.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
So I wanted to know all about that. We talked about The Raven, and he had nothing but nice things to say about Lugosi.
Yes.
And then I asked him about Frankenstein, and I asked him, about making, because what he did was he was so sweet, because he left the bar and came over to a section of the room and sat down like on the couch with me and just talked to me about, I said, well, what about this?
For about 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah,
he talked. Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So cool.
And then later on, I met him again on the set of Comedy of Terrors.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And he remembered everything. He remembered coming to the house and meeting me and talking to me and my father. Oh, yeah, he was a great guy.
Gosh.
And the thing is, Peter Lorre, you were asking about him.
Yes.
I met Peter Lorre at the same time on Comedy of Terrors.
Mhm.
And I thought, I got it made now. I know I'm not going to do the Lugosi thing.
Okay, yeah. Wait. You're not going to be like an idiot like when you were made at Karloff. Yeah, okay.
So I hear you hate Sidney Greenstreet.
No, but I said, I got it made now. I know what I'm going to say. So I went up and said, Mr. Lorre, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. How are you? I said, listen, I love one of your movies. I just love one of your movies. And he went, oh, really? Which one is that? Figuring I'd probably say, The Maltese Falcon or Casablanca or something like that. And I said, it's The Beast with Five Fingers. And he went, oh, that thing.
Really?
Two strikes.
He's great in that.
Okay,
though.
yeah. Well, but
But I mean, I was so disappointed. I love that movie.
I love that
Still
movie.
love that
I
movie.
love that movie.
And he was like,
He's great in it, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's the best
It's
performance.
tour de force.
It's my favorite Peter Lorre
Yeah, he's
movie.
great.
I love
he's
that
great.
movie.
And I just thought, oh my God, I get, because it was, I guess he figured it was like a B Warner Brothers
course,
movie.
of course.
Great effects with the hand.
Oh,
like for back
fantastic.
then, it's really
Fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah.
But he just was like, yes. Great. And then Vincent Price, I met a number of times, and this was the nicest person.
my gosh.
Vincent Price would always say, how old are you? What school do you go to? What are you majoring in? What do you want to do with your life? Do you like this? Do you like that? He always had time to talk to people. And he would sign. I had met him before, and the way he would sign pictures and stuff was, hi, Rich, it was so nice meeting you before. You're such a great, he was just such a sweet guy. All three of those guys were great. And Rathbone was a nice guy too, a little bit more formal than the other ones.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, they're tourists, hi, how
Yeah.
are you? And shake hands, take a picture, goodbye. But the other guys were like, especially Karloff and Price were just absolutely great.
amazing.
Lugosi I didn't get to meet because he died when I was too young.
Yeah.
Right.
Was
but-
Laurie funny?
Well, I mean, that's what everyone said. He was always the funniest person on the set.
Mhm.
Why a lot of people, Chaplin in 1935 said he was the greatest actor in the world because he had seen M
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
he'd
Which
seen
is
Mad
amazing.
Love and said he was the
He's
best actor in
crazy.
the world.
Yeah.
But he was always playing those weird parts.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
everybody said that on set he was always unbelievably funny.
Mhm.
And I mean, I didn't see that side of him. Now,
Mhm.
in 1943, he was on my father's radio show. So I
Really?
have this fantastic transcription of him on the Amos and Andy show.
Wow.
And my dad remembered working with him, so he
Yeah.
was very professional.
Yeah.
He knew all of his lines, the whole deal.
Mhm.
And, he had the same morphine problem that Lugosi had.
Yeah.
Really?
And apparently, most of the time, no one really noticed that much.
Mhm.
Wow.
So he was a very, very interesting guy, really, really, really good actor.
It's funny how you bring up how these guys, these actors from the days of yesteryear, how they reacted towards you. And when we had Dana Gould on and he told this experience he had with Charlton Heston, he said, guys like this, they're from a different time where the public is my boss kind of a thing. If it wasn't
Old
for
Hollywood
the
class.
yes, if it wasn't for the public, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in. So they're always a little more polite, a little more grateful than maybe actors of today.
But the other thing that's important too, and especially for someone like Karloff, is Karloff lived long enough to see the power of television.
Mhm.
And after those films were long gone out of theaters,
Mhm.
TV came along, reissued them, and suddenly this legion of young fans suddenly
Right.
thought these were the greatest guys in the world, and
New generation.
they totally appreciated it.
Yeah.
Completely appreciated it.
Right.
And unlike other actors who had issues with whether it was Leonard Nimoy playing Spock or William Shatner playing Kirk, whatever, Karloff was always grateful for that part of the monster. Before that part, he was playing a lot of bit parts. It was like that monster made him a star, basically.
Apparently, he had made like 83, 84 movies
Yeah.
before Frankenstein.
Yeah, but no one really knows
No,
those.
nobody
knows
knew who he
knows-
was. No.
But that Frankenstein film, that put him on the map. And he was fortunate enough and talented enough to have what it took to play all these unique and different roles. Granted, a lot of them.
After.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, another thing about doing Beaver is we used to run around and visit all these different people, and we went in and saw Karloff doing wraparounds for Thriller.
Oh.
And he was also the same. Hi, boys. You know, how are you? You know, never, hey, who are these guys? Get them out of here. He was always great. And Jerry had made a movie in 1955, Shirley MacLaine's film debut with Hitchcock called The Trouble with Harry.
Right.
Oh, yes. I love that one.
Jerry was in that. And so Alfred Hitchcock knew Jerry. And every now and then we would go to visit the Alfred Hitchcock Presents set. And what I remember about that was that Hitchcock could not have anyone wear white or stand in his eyesight at all when he was talking, because he would do the wraparounds.
Right.
Yes.
And if anyone disrupted, he'd stop in the middle and go, "Oh, is this person staring at me?" Or why is it? It was really weird. But we were standing on a corner outside State 17 once, and Hitchcock, who didn't have a license, he didn't drive, was coming by in a cab, in a yellow cab, and he stopped and he rolled down the window and he said, "Hello, Gerald." Nobody called Jerry Mathers Gerald. Nobody ever did that. Nobody ever. I thought, who is this guy? You know, it's like, but that was fun too,
Wow.
because we saw a lot of cool people on the
Oh
lot.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and being a monster kid at that age and then being right in the middle of it, being able to walk down the block and see Boris Karloff. It just must be, it's like
That's crazy.
winning the golden ticket, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a cool thing about collecting is there in 1961, I think when Karloff was doing Thriller, he went up to the makeup lab, and for a publicity thing, it was for Look magazine, they had him spread his arms out over a table, and they just pulled stuff down off a shelf. They had a Frankenstein head, but it was Glenn Strange from Abbott and
Yeah.
Costello made
Yeah.
Frankenstein. Of course, the photographer didn't know the difference.
Right.
They had a Phantom of the Opera head, but it was Cagney from Man of a Thousand Faces.
They get everything wrong.
They had a mummy head, but it was the
It's
mummy.
Cheney?
No, it was from Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. which is
Clarice.
and he's standing there with his hands out by these heads. And now, in my collection, I have every single one of the heads in that picture. Every single one of them.
Fantastic.
Yep,
That's amazing.
got him.
That's
Got him.
amazing.
We could redo the whole picture.
Let's do it. Let's do it
right
now.
now.
Let's do it now.
So
Oh my
you
gosh.
bought Famous Monsters when you were a kid. You got a
All the
subscription.
time.
Okay.
I'm in issue 9.
Oh, really?
Wait.
Awesome.
I have that issue.
It's got Zachary on the cover.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't
And,
have that.
and it's
Okay.
got it. You turn to the thing of fans right
Yeah.
in there.
More
Oh,
fans
yeah, yeah.
like.
There's a picture of me and a friend of mine who's standing behind me dressed up.
Oh,
in a
okay.
horror.
Nice.
Well, okay, that's pretty
Yeah.
great. Well,
Nice.
I'm in Famous Monsters too. I'm in 172. How about that? And it's got my picture, my little Catholic pig boy school picture, my little haircut.
boy?
Yes.
What'd you
No.
say?
And so yeah. So I'm in there too. Anyone else?
So,
There you go.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that I was in Famous Monsters before you were born?
Yeah. Pretty much.
So he won. He won.
Okay. I'm going to give him that one.
Oh, just that one.
No, Bridget, but I was curious. Okay, so we've all collected Famous Monsters when you were growing up. Did you get into that? Did you do Starlog, Fangoria? Did you do any of the magazines?
I didn't collect anything, but I did like getting Fangoria once in a while.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And then later I got to work at the Fangoria convention, which I thought was so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, when we had Carrie Quinn on the show, he was talking to us about some of the more controversial covers that they had. The one that got me in trouble when my mom got me a subscription, there was a one from David Cronenberg's Scanners with the guy with the exploding head. And my mom goes, that's too much.
Yeah.
Did you have that one, or did you get anything like that? Or-
No. I would just get them every once in a while, just not any. I didn't have like a subscription or
Okay.
anything like that.
But like being a slasher fan, then you like gore didn't like phase you or anything, right? Like you
No,
were.
I liked it as a kid. Now,
Yes, it
as
is.
an adult, I don't need that in a film to make it scary for
Right,
me.
right.
But as a kid, I loved it. I
See,
thought
that was that
cool.
generation. That was the new boy. That was a new kid in town after Famous Monsters.
Yeah.
That was like Fangoria.
You were a Freddy fan, right?
Yeah, I like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I liked Halloween and Friday the 13th better.
So you like that hardcore
Yeah, this-
murder stuff? The guys cutting people's heads off
I
with that.
did then, but like I said, now,
Now it's a different thing.
yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
just
a lot of that stuff.
scared.
Actually, a lot of that stuff is kind of tame now by comparison.
and
with the early
the original
80s slasher.
Halloween,
Yeah, yeah.
There's no
blood.
No.
Really. And there's hardly any blood in Texas Chainsaw, too, the original.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, I
that's
love
right.
Texas
That's right.
Chainsaw, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only real horror scene where you actually see the results of Michael Myers' violence is the guy being stuck on the wall with the
Right.
knife.
Right.
And that's creepy, you know, and it's all done in silhouette.
Right.
But I'm with you. I mean, I like the gore stuff if it's done well and if it's serves the story. If it's just gratuitous, even if it's gratuitous and it's fun or it's unique in the way that they did an effect, I'll appreciate that.
Yeah, clever way.
But yeah, I mean, all the stuff I love Freddy. I love all the stuff in the Freddy movies because I think they took a horror character and they turned it on its ear and gave it a little fresh breath of life.
And there's a nice guy. Man, oh man, no. Robert Englund, the nicest guy.
Really?
Oh, the best. Just he's a Shakespearean actor who, like Karloff, he was Karloff of the 70s.
That's true. He really was. He really was.
Yeah, and I mean, he just rolled with it. He was smart enough to know, okay, I've got a niche here and it's going to go.
Right.
But he was a Shakespearean trained actor and just the sweetest. He's the nicest guy. You can't even imagine how nice he is.
It's awesome.
And a gift for comedy.
Oh, he's really? I directed him in Married with Children.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah, and he played the devil.
Nice.
Yeah, and he was such a great guy. He was great. I brought my son to the set, and he drew all these Freddy pictures and signed them and all this.
That's awesome.
It's like a pattern. All the monster actors are the nicest guys.
Oh yeah,
it does seem like
fantastic.
that.
Except I will say when we, well,
Yeah?
Well, you know, there was one time. There was one time when we went to it wasn't the screening of Muck. It was we went to the L.A.
Oh, the L.A. Comic Con?
Yeah, L.A. Comic Con.
Stanley's
Stanley's
Kamikaze?
Comic Con.
Okay,
Kamikaze. And we were there. Steve Walsh was having a
with
big...
Kane Hodder,
yeah,
right?
With Kane
See,
Hodder.
I missed that.
Okay, yeah.
But Kane Hodder was just having fun with this.
Yeah, so I don't remember him strangling you.
Yeah, he got you in a headlock.
So you know what he did?
That
It's
was
like,
fun.
hey, Monster Party, hey, we're gonna get a picture with Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder, he's a big monster of a dude. You know, he's a big guy. He's like threatening. So on the count of three, so he's such a big guy, and he's got James, Sean, and I, you know, kind of like right like this, and I'm over here by his arm. On the count of three, 1, 2, and on 3, he takes his massive hand and grabs my face, and I'm all like this, and they took a picture. And so there's James, Sean, hi, and there's me.
And that's an awesome picture.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that's the nicest thing. I mean, he was like he was.
He was
trying
in character.
He was trying.
I
Yeah, he was.
have a similar story to that.
Oh.
I knew Kane from doing the Elvira show.
Yes.
Right?
And we were at one of the conventions. I can't remember which one. And he was there. I was there with my boyfriend. And he's like, oh, let's get a picture. I'm like, okay. And he did. I don't even remember how he grabbed Nick, but he did something. And Nick was like, ah. Like, and then afterwards, he's like walking around. He's like, no, that actually hurt.
He's a
very
strong
physical.
dude.
Yeah. He's like,
Rich, have you ever been grabbed by Kane Hodder?
No, I've never been grabbed by Kane Hodder.
Well, let me tell you, it's.
Well, what are you doing now? Let's get him on the phone.
I'm just saying he's a big, strong dude.
That must be his shtick then.
That's a
That's what he
stick,
does.
Bridget. That's what it is. On the count of 3, 1, 2, and right before 3, he does something to make them go, ah! That.
All right, now look, I've been telling you guys some stories about some of the people I met. I have to tell you this one other story.
All right.
I was working on Lassie.
Oh,
This
yes.
is when Timmy. This is when.
Come on.
This is when Timmy and Lassie.
Please don't tell me Lassie was an asshole.
No.
No, so John Provost was playing Timmy. And I was playing a villain. I was in a couple episodes. But anyway, so it was lunchtime, again, like on the Paramount lot. And he said, hey, let's walk around the lot. You want to go see Mr. Ed? And I said, oh, yeah, let's go. He said, we can go up and see how they make the horse talk.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, great. So we went up to the Mr. Ed set, and, you know, because he was John Provost, and everybody knew him, they just let him right in.
Yeah.
And Alan Young, who played Wilbur,
Yes.
was doing a scene in like a barn. So it was perfect. The horse was there, and he was talking, and they had monofilament line, and they made the horse talk and stuff. We were sitting there watching. So,
jeez, really?
in between takes, this little old man who was sitting next to us would get up, walk in, and, you know, pat down Alan Young, and then go and sit down. And then they'd watch it take, and we're sitting there looking at the horse and all stuff. Cut. Something. This little old man would go in and touch him up again. This little old guy sitting next to us. Okay. So this went on a few times, and then Provost said, okay, we got to get back. And I went, okay, thanks, Mr. Young. Thanks, everybody. You're sitting next to this guy, whoever he was. Goodbye. It was Jack Pierce.
Oh.
Now, I've told you stories of people I met. This is one I blew because I had no idea
Well,
that I
that
was
was when
sitting
he-
next to
yeah.
Jack Pierce, who, and remember now, this was in the days of Famous Monsters, Shock Theater. I was so into the same time I was meeting Karloff and everything, going, oh my God, it's Karloff.
Yeah.
The guy who created everything was sitting next to me, and no one was paying any attention to him at all. He was Alan Young's personal makeup man. Wow. No one paid any attention to him, including me. I was watching this goddamn horse and a monofilament line, and I was sitting next to Jack Pierce and never talked to him.
The man who created
The man who created
famous
everything.
Frankenstein.
Which by that point in his career, he was. I mean, that's all he was doing, I guess, right? Because like,
Because after he
was,
left Universal, he just floated around and did.
Well,
some
my understanding, he
independent
was
stuff.
he had been there for like 30 years, and Universal let him go.
They did.
Then number one,
yeah.
he had an issue with he didn't want to make the advancement to latex or something.
Appliances.
He didn't want-
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Appliances.
yeah,
He
and
didn't
and
want to do
so
appliances.
and they said, oh, you're old school. We want the Westmores coming in. They're taking over. Get out of here, Pearson.
I just can't believe I was standing next to him. Didn't
But you
know
didn't. But you didn't know, right? I mean, you
didn't know.
Yeah,
and what's
But
funny?
I knew everything he did.
Yeah.
If someone had said that was Jack Pierce, I never would have let this guy alone.
It's funny because you bring up the guy who had that This Is Your Life and was Karloff's friend, and when Karloff got
I
his
saw that. Yeah.
when he got his
right.
Wonderful Life. Now there have been rumors that Pierce was actually kind of a grumpy guy,
Yeah.
and Karloff, just to show how classy Karloff was, Karloff didn't know he was going to be picked. This is your life. He's like, oh. They bring him up there. They brought Jack Pierce out. And the first thing that Boris Karloff says is, this is the best makeup artist in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's what he said about
And what was
Jack
great,
Pierce.
too, is he
and that was so great.
He heard Pierce's voice backstage.
He knew
and
immediately.
Right now,
Yeah, he started
immediately
laughing.
who it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Immediately. Well, but I mean, look what Karloff owed Pierce a lot.
He
Sure,
did.
yeah.
He
A
did.
lot.
Well, also Lon Chaney Jr., I mean, let's the
And
face
Lon
it.
Chaney Jr. did not get along with Jack Pierce.
That,
Well,
I've heard.
because I heard he did all the mummy films. He hated doing that.
He
makeup.
hated that. And then, the last two, he was basically wearing just a mask.
Yeah.
Right.
and,
right.
and,
that's
and
right.
look, let's face it. He was known to have a cocktail or two.
Yeah,
Chaney
while he was
and-
working.
Yeah,
Or 9.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
with that?
Well, Bridget, I agree with you. It might be nice to maybe have a
Context.
cocktail, but not first thing in the
Yeah, yeah.
morning, and then
Yeah.
and then you have another
Bloody
room.
Marys are for.
Well, and
Yeah,
then
that's
he
right.
had another room that was the fight room.
Yeah, I love that.
You
I love
heard
that
about
story.
that.
Yeah. That-
I mean, he
one
was a
of the-
big dude.
Yeah,
you know?
one of the extras, I think, on the Wolfman, where they were talking about that. Yeah, Shady had 2 dressing rooms, one for just the regular dressing room, and one to fight with Broderick Crawford. They just get drunk and beat the shit out of each other.
And also, and also, Pierce, when it came to, I mean, think about it. When you're getting that makeup on, whether you're Frankenstein or Wolfman, even though that you're the star of the film, it takes a long time to put on and then to take off. It's
Ugh.
and I've heard stories of how sometimes they would just kind of pull it off and it would rip the skin of the actors, which they didn't like,
Right.
And again, it was all a time thing, trying to make us go faster.
And the hell that Karloff went through.
Yeah.
Especially in that early
Well,
makeup.
I mean,
And the original
material,
Mummy.
The material they used was
Yeah.
and the Mummy.
Oh.
was,
yeah,
terrible.
for about what 10 seconds of screen time too.
Right.
But
You know,
it's so effective.
It's
Yeah.
funny, we're all sitting in Rich's screen room here and sitting right
or
by Matt.
screaming room.
But we're here in the screaming room, and right next to Matt is a beautiful. Is this a Mike Hill?
Yep.
A Mike Hill
Yeah.
sculpture of Boris Karloff getting made up as the Frankenstein monster.
Yep.
So he's got the headpiece on, and he's got the
Drinking
makeup,
some
the color.
tea.
He's drinking some tea, and then down below is just his regular
There's
skin.
a famous still of that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
That's what Mike copied. Yeah.
His nipples are very Iggy Pop. There's a very Iggy Pop quality.
that has got to be. That's really authentic, though. I mean, you've seen
it's
that
fantastic.
picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's great. It looks exactly like it.
But it's funny. Do you remember, Rich? Remember the "You'll Die Laughing" monster cards that came out in the 70s? Do you remember
course,
those? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anyone have a whole set here? Whole set?
No.
Okay. Well, some.
I have
here
other
has-
things.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Which he
That's
looks
fine.
at and plays with.
But in the picture that they have on the little card, it's not Jack Pierce. They cut his face out. They put someone else's face.
Really?
there.
Great.
Yeah.
Man,
Great.
I can't
Yeah,
get a break.
Yeah. But yeah, he's literally responsible for the look of every classic Universal monster. I mean, it's just,
He really is.
I mean,
And
it's like, yeah.
I can't believe I missed that. Now Rick Baker's a good friend of mine.
Oh, really?
So I spent a lot of time with him, yeah.
That's
And I
awesome.
have a ton of his stuff. I have most of Stan Winston's stuff, too.
Oh,
There's a
gosh.
guy. He's done so much stuff. I mean, he actually got the first official Academy Award for Best Makeup.
Are you talking about Rick?
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah,
7 Academy Awards.
Well, the first one, American
It
Werewolf
was
in
the-
London.
it was the
Remember
first-
that?
the
Do you have any of
in
that
the
stuff?
category.
Do you have any American Werewolf
I
stuff?
have everything.
You have everything?
From everything. From
Wow.
American.
You've got the body and everything?
I've
and the-
got the heads of the werewolf. I've got the Jack puppet. I've got all kinds of stuff.
Do you have Jenny Agutter?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Now,
Now,
did.
Bridget.
Maybe in those days.
Do you know Jenny, being a lovely woman, you got to know Jenny Agutter, right?
I don't.
Did you ever see the
But I
movie
know
Logan's
Rick,
Run?
I know Rick Baker.
Oh,
Did you
know
ever see
Rick-
American Werewolf in London?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, well, the
The
nurse.
Nurse.
Hello?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
Jenny Agutter.
I
She
watched
was
it
al-
2 nights ago.
She was also in Logan's
So good.
Run with Michael York. Hello?
Okay.
Where she just
Yeah.
decides, hey, what was the scene, Matt? I'm cold. I'm
We have to
frozen.
get out of these wet
We gotta
clothes.
get out of these clothes before they freeze on us. And I'm like, I don't know how many times I've tried that line. Nothing.
Yeah.
So you don't have any Jenny Agutter.
I don't have any Jenny.
Oh,
right.
man.
No, but
Sorry.
yeah.
And I thought
That's
your
such a-
collection. I thought your collection was going to be
Yeah.
good.
Do you have the Griffin Dunn stuff? Any of that?
Yeah, I've got the. I have the Jack puppet.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Sits up in the balcony and talks to him and all that.
Oh,
Yeah, so great.
God.
I have all that. I have
Now,
a lot of Rick stuff.
Rich, is there something that you've always you want to get?
Yeah,
or
your
that
holy
you wish
grail.
you had or that you couldn't get?
Well,
You
then if
know?
he says it, then Kirk Hammett's going to go, I'm going to write this
That's
down.
true.
Because he
That's a
listens
good
to the
point.
show.
Right.
I was asked the same question actually at a Kirk Hammett event
Oh, see? You see?
where we all got up and spoke.
Yeah.
No, most of the stuff. I mean, there's not anything I sit around going, "Oh wow, I wish I could get that."
Right.
But Kirk has that famous oil painting of Lugosi.
Yes.
It was painted in 1919,
Yeah.
and he's standing there in kind of a 3-piece, very light brown suit.
Yes.
And he's kind of like he's got his overcoat over his arm, and
Yeah.
and it hung in Lugosi's house for a long time. And there's pictures of Lugosi in the 30s with that picture in the background.
Wow.
It's in
And
Famous Monsters, too.
Yeah, and a
That-
friend of mine named Ron McGid got the suit, and so now
Wow.
Kirk has the original painting and the original suit. Now,
No.
that because I really love Lugosi, I would
Yes.
love to get
Wow.
that.
But see, that
Wow.
painting was spectacular. That
But
was
he's got
really, really
the
nice.
original painting
Mhm.
and the suit that he's wearing in the painting.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
So it's all from 1919. It was done in Hungary.
My understanding is that the house that he was in came up for auction about a year or so ago.
Lugosi's house.
Yeah.
It's on one of these tours,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Hollywood
yeah.
tour.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And more importantly, is there anything today that you would want to get rid of? Maybe that you might want to give to somebody?
Do you know that I started collecting in 60, and I have never sold or traded one item?
Oh.
Never,
Wow.
ever, in all that time.
And
Not-
What if we told you that Sean has a faulty liver?
which is somewhat
my
true.
dying request
Oh,
is to have. Yeah.
Well, wait. Now, wait a minute. You've recovered
Yes,
from
I'm
this
recovered.
liver
I'm
thing.
completely recovered.
Come on, can we be honest here?
That's impressive, though. That,
I don't
like-
want to lie in front of Bridget.
But that tells me that that it
I
really
have
is,
performance anxiety.
it really is your love of the stuff, though. Too. It's not like a business for you. It's not
Nope.
like selling things to get money or to get something else. It's like you really
Never-
want to
my-
possess the stuff.
even all the Don Post stuff that I got, like all of us, we go out and buy that stuff.
Yeah.
And all the calendar masks.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
all the original
Yeah.
stuff. Never traded or sold anything.
I respond to that because we always get into this argument about, because we collect toys, of taking stuff out of the package. And I understand that sometimes the package is just as cool as the toy that's inside it.
And keeps it
but
more
sometimes, you have to take out of the package to display it or touch it. It's fun to play with, kind of.
But Rich, nothing is so cool than if you had a Micronaut figure from 1976 and it's still perfectly preserved on its little bubble card. I mean, when you look at that, the air in there is from 1976. If you open it up and go, that's air from
It'll smell like
1976.
smog and
It
cigarette
smells like
smoke.
the bicentennial.
no,
Well,
come on.
toys, everybody knows that toys at auction or however they're sold are much more valuable if they have the original box.
Yes,
Sure.
yes,
Yes,
that
but-
is
but-
true.
if you're selling
yes.
it.
If you're selling it, right. But I'm not, most of my stuff, I look at this collection and I go, well, I'm not going to get rid of any of this stuff. It's going to be on my shelf till I die.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter if it's in perfect condition or if it has
what?
the original, as long as the toy's in good condition, then that's all that matters.
But Rich, nothing is so cool. If you had something that was perfectly preserved and you go, here's my Micronaut in its package and it's on my shelf. Look how beautiful it is.
And some stuff like that is great to have in the package. I get it. I understand it, especially that vintage stuff.
Yeah.
But there's toys now where it's just so mass produced and you just want to have the toy. And you also don't have that much room So if everything is in the package, you're going to run out of room in no time.
Well, that
and
is.
you have all your stuff in the garage.
Well,
Don't you? Don't you, Larry
okay,
Strode?
okay. Now,
Don't you?
now listen.
Don't answer the question, Senator.
We're not gonna like bicker and like chastise each other because some people have more room than others.
Who
I'm just
chastised
saying,
first?
Bridget, do you have any toys or collectibles still in the package that are meant?
do. And I have the same issue though, because I have all of the Halloween Barbies or like the
cool.
Monster Barbies, the Addams Family Barbies,
And those are all kind of
And the boxes
rare.
are cool. The
I have
boxes
those
are
too.
cool.
Fay Ray Barbie. And
I have that too.
Cool.
And I'm dying to take them out. Like I want to touch them.
You want to touch them.
Okay,
Yes,
did you get the Star Trek Barbie, the recent one, the Vina
No.
one? It's in 3 boxes.
No.
She will get it.
Oh, Rich, let me tell
It's
you.
in 3 boxes.
It's in 3. It's no.
It's heaven
Rich,
for Larry.
I swear to God, when I-
Multiple
Closest he'll get to an orgy.
No, Bridget, I swear to God, when I saw, I flipped out. It was at Comic-Con. Rich, you can understand. It's like you. There's a big box and it has a big TV on it. So Star Trek Barbie, and you can open it up without hurting the box. You take it out. Oh, it's
Hurting
another, There's another box, and you can open the little flap, and there is the
Well, that's the
Barbie
thing.
sealed inside
That's
plastic.
the thing. Today's stuff
And-
is made kind of towards
collectors.
collectors so that you can
Yes.
remove them from boxes and still keep it
Well,
intact.
I'm
Yes,
still
that's
keeping
true.
her in the plastic, though.
Not these
Okay.
Barbies though. If you were to take them out, they
Yeah.
would never go.
There's
back
yes,
in.
I know the
Right.
ones. I know the ones
Like,
you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Right,
but
But
right.
some
Star
things
Trek
need to be
Barbies.
taken out of the package. There are some toys where, like, the only way you can connect the tail to the Godzilla figure is
Yeah.
to take it out of
for
the
sure,
package.
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
You have to take it out of the
Okay.
package, and that's okay.
See-
because I love my toys as opposed to you,
Okay.
who might sell them.
No,
like, give
it has
them
nothing to
away.
do- no,
like,
no. Okay, let's
Give away your
let's
children.
put out all our dirty laundry here on the table really quickly. No, Rich. No, I know you're laughing. No, see, he's getting on my case because there's some certain issue. So 2 years ago at Comic-Con, I buy this beautiful, perfect. They're only making about like 250 of these. It's a Godzilla. Based on what Godzilla's supposed to look like, but it's made in kind of the same size and shape as the 1979 Godzilla from Mattel. Do you remember that?
Sure.
Okay.
Shogun?
Well, mine, yes, Shogun. So mine is still in its box, and the thing is about the box is you can open it up, and it's there, and you can kind of touch it, but it has these plastic straps around it. Your ties. And I can't bring myself to cut the ties because that would mean
It's more valuable if you leave it in there.
yes,
Sure.
yes, it is.
Yes.
But it's symbolic. You can't cut the ties.
Right.
Okay, but you know what? I'm going to admit to
You-
Rich
you
and
said
Bridget.
that you
yes,
thought about it,
yes,
right?
Have you changed your mind?
Look, we've come a long, or I should say, I've come a long way, and I'm going to admit to Bridget and Rich here because there are wonderful guests on this Halloween extravaganza show. That as a guy who's into keeping things mint in box, I am considering removing the Godzilla toy from its ties, and when I do it, we're actually going to film it on the show.
It'll be an historic moment. It really will.
And the funny
Yes.
thing is, I'm not joking with you. It's a big deal because
Yeah,
once
it's-
you can't go back in time. It's like once you cut those straps, it's like it's gone. But I will be able to take it out, like Matt said. I'll be able to caress it, touch it, put
Well,
the tail
put it on
on.
a shelf next to the box.
I will.
And
Yeah,
just
yeah,
take
yeah.
good care
yeah.
of it,
I
and
know.
They'll be
Of course.
fine.
I think you're good.
And you're probably wondering, Larry, didn't they make a bunch of these? Well, they're 2 different colors. There's the dark one, which is the more common, which they made several thousand. But then there's the green one, and that's the one I'm talking about. Because that's the one, the same color as the one in from 1979. Bridget, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do not. But
Bridget,
I
which-
thought you were
which-
Miss Halloween.
Which color Godzilla do you have?
I have the green one.
Okay, just really quickly, are you a Godzilla fan? Or are you just slasher girl? What?
No, I'm not a Godzilla fan.
But
Oh.
I'm the only person here who saw the original Godzilla in a theater when they released it.
Whoa.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
With Raymond Burr.
Yeah,
right?
it was a good movie.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
great.
I like that.
okay,
That's
Rich,
great.
okay, that's pretty big. Okay, so you saw when it
He's
came out. Let me just.
Why are you
I was
challenging
upset
you
because
already?
he look.
And
okay.
you know, it was playing with the black sleep. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. That's a Rathbone,
With Cheney and Rathbone.
Yeah,
and
everybody's in that.
Lugosi,
That's a weird one.
Yeah, and
That's
well,
a weird one.
have you seen the original Godzilla in a theater with Haruo Nakajima in the audience with you, who played Godzilla? Huh?
No, but
I did.
Wait a minute, here he goes.
But
I watched King Kong in the film in the theater that it was premiered in, sitting next to Fay Ray. How's that?
I think he beat you.
Yeah. Sitting in his lap.
Yeah.
You got me there. That is.
I love that everything has to be a competition. You can't just enjoy. Can't he have his lovely memories?
Yes, he
and
can.
you have yours.
Well, he throws out a memory. I want to just throw out mine.
But
that's all.
So let me
with such grimace and
No, there's no grimace. Bridget, is there grimacing?
Maybe a little.
little bit of grimace, little bit of grimace.
So let me ask you guys.
I'll work on that.
All right, Sean. would
being
like to
that this
say
is like a Halloween show, horror and sci-fi, it's mainstream now. It's no longer the pariah genre. It's like they're the big money makers.
Yeah.
The movies. And Halloween is also. It seems like there's a season of Halloween now.
Yeah.
It's a big
all of
deal.
October is the whole month is Halloween. How is Halloween like for each of you? But like how is Halloween as the holiday? How has it changed since like when you were growing up as a kid?
Oh, for me, when I was a kid, it was all about kids, and it was just trick or treating. It was
Right.
kind of one night thing,
Right.
and maybe you carve the pumpkin the night before, or whatever. But now I do stuff starting mid-September for Halloween.
Yeah, right.
It's become there's so many different events, especially here in LA.
Mhm.
I mean, from big jack-o'-lantern festivals to all the different haunted houses,
Absolutely.
and all the scary movies that come out at this time, and I've just been busy all month.
Right.
In the old days, too, I think that people thought, and Bridget's 100% right, it was about kids and trick-or-treating and dressing up. And I thought, in the old days, everybody thought, well, you'll outgrow that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Parents were into it because it was something that kids liked.
Right.
Now, nobody outgrows Halloween.
know.
And it's also a $3-4 billion industry per year.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's making a lot of people a lot of money, but it's a big party time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like the weekend before, this coming weekend is a huge party weekend in the United States.
Especially and in Hollywood, especially
Yeah.
like Hollywood,
Yeah.
especially just embraces it.
Lots of Halloween events and stuff, and and a lot of those, most of those are geared at adults. So
Right.
so it's really kind of turned the corner, which I think is great because it's a crossover between adults and young people. There's
Yeah.
the stuff for the kids, there's stuff for the adults, but all together it's become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, driven primarily by the fact that it's an industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
The fact that you can go into Home Depot and see a wall of animatronic
Oh,
witches,
yeah.
so great.
dragons and
Yeah.
everything. I mean, that's telling you something.
It's funny in here in Hollywood where you have West Hollywood actually closes down a huge
Yeah.
section
That's
of
the best.
Santa
Yeah,
Monica.
yeah.
And my wife and I have done that several. This
That's
is before
so
we had our
much
kids.
fun.
Here.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
Talk
is.
about adults. And I've seen some of the most amazing costumes. And I know other cities around, United States, they do that too. But in West Hollywood, it is just crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
they
another
have
level.
it is.
It's like a Mardi Gras.
My favorite costume
Yeah, go ahead.
No, my favorite costume that I ever saw during that time was I'm walking down Santa Monica and there's this guy dressed up like a typical nerdy tourist with Bermuda shorts and the Hawaiian shirt. And he's got this big camera around his neck. And as he walks up to you, he turns on a light in the camera, and inside the camera lens is his penis.
Oh my gosh, I was
Oh.
expecting that.
Well,
And I was like, I did not see that coming.
I was going to say that the coolest costume I saw was a guy dressed up as Mecha Godzilla, and it was all made out of
Oh, wow.
cardboard,
Oh, wow.
and it was so articulate. It was
I saw a guy dressed as Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
no,
Fantastic.
Oh, wow.
that's amazing.
It was huge, this costume. I
Yeah.
don't know how long it must have taken this guy to do it, but it was fantastic. But that whole event down there
Yeah.
is probably still the safest gathering of 250, 300,000
Yeah.
people, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you,
it's great.
that's the place to go. I mean, as an adult, you
Yeah.
should go down there. It's so much fun.
See, now I do have a daughter, but I will say something really cool that my daughter and her friend told me. They're both 13 years old, and I asked them, I said, so as you get older, do you think you'd stop? And my daughter's friend said, oh no, Mr. Strothe, I'm going to keep dressing up for the rest of my life. And I
Yeah,
thought that is
cool.
so cool.
That's
and
so
my
cool.
daughter loves dressing up. She loves the whole cosplay thing. And so she's going to do the exact same thing. So, and
awesome.
for me, because, I'm a little different, I'm the one that has a kid. My daughter and I, for years, we had such a big thrill of dressing up as something similar. Like she would dress up as Tinkerbell, I'd be Peter Pan.
Right.
She was Laura Ingalls. I was Michael Landon, Little House on the Prairie and that kind of thing. And this year we're actually going, she's dressing up as a T-Rex and I'm going as a,
Whoopi Goldberg?
Yeah. No. I was going to say the Sam Neill character in Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay. No, that works too.
That's cool.
Come on.
That's cool.
So anyway, my daughter and I, we like doing that together. So
that sounds fun.
Yeah. That's what I love about Monsterpalooza too, is that Monsterpalooza, it's like it happens in April. So, you're kind of jonesing for your Halloween fix, and you go to Monsterpalooza and there's a million great costumes, and it's like getting Halloween all over again, and you walk through that gallery. You must love that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. It's like having Halloween in April or whenever it is.
Yeah.
I can't, if you're going to have Halloween in different months, it's fine with me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
And it's a good mixture of classic horror and new stuff too.
Yes.
In the same aisles, you'll see classic stuff with Karl F. and Lugosi next to Jason and Michael Myers, and that's cool. It's like it's all the generations.
And that's what I like to see in horror fans, is that they're open to going into the past,
Sure.
to watching a black and white movie of all things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I taught my daughter well. My daughter and I, we had a conversation about how she was upset at some of the friends she has. They flip out if something they show at school is black and white. And I showed my daughter all the classics, the Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, and Laurel and Hardy's and stuff. She just loves
That's awesome.
it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, those are great movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now speaking of movies, just I know we've dabbled a little bit about this. We talked a little bit about this, but you've done a lot of comedy stuff.
Yep.
In your career, but did you do any horror type stuff, horror movies?
Only stuff I did was I did some stuff for R.L. Stein.
Mm-hmm.
And he would let me. He had a series of books called Mostly Ghostly as well, aside from Goosebumps. And I took a couple of those and changed them in the script. So I wrote the scripts with him. And he was great because I worked with him too, and he was fine with that. It was nice, let me make scripts out of his books.
Mm-hmm.
And I directed one of those, wrote two of them, and then I directed a show called The Nightmare Room.
Mm-hmm.
But I stayed 99% of the time in comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really where my career was.
Yeah.
And so my hobby was the polarity of all the comedy.
Yeah.
Was collecting all the horror stuff. My mother could never figure it out. She had no idea why the Halloween thing, got me, the orange and black thing going on. She never knew what that was all about.
Now, Bridget, you were in a couple of horror movies.
Yes.
Right. And what were there was the Cottontail one, or
Oh
is it?
gosh, I didn't know about Cottontail. Yes, I won
Cottontail?
I won a Scream Queen contest
Mhm.
for that, so that was really fun because we had put a lot into that,
Mhm.
and they flew us out to Pennsylvania. It was a really low budget.
What's
It's
the
like,
premise
it's like
of
a
this
killer
movie?
rabbit or something.
Yeah, it's a killer rabbit,
Oh.
and then The Telling.
The Telling she was in,
Yeah,
It's a film. And they made that. That's a 3-parter, right?
yeah,
It's a 3 parts.
Like an anthology kind of thing.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was fun.
Cool.
Rich helped cast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I did help. I came to casting on that.
Yeah.
Now, being in Cottontail,
Oh, God.
are you familiar with the film Night of the Lepus?
Oh, you don't know of that film.
I don't.
Bridget, maybe that's a good thing.
Well, I don't know how you know about Cottontail. It'd be a good thing if you didn't know about that.
Oh, well, maybe.
I think it would be a great double feature.
Yeah,
I
you think
Probably.
so?
Yeah.
If you listeners know, because we've commented on this, about the trailer is great. The
Yeah.
trailer makes
This is a movie from the 70s.
and it's from the 70s, and there's a lot of Rich. You know this film, you know.
Cottontail?
Yeah, no, Night of the Lepus, and it has a lot of celebrities in it.
Janet Leigh, Stuart Whitman,
Oh.
Yeah,
Roy
DeForest Kelley.
Calhoun.
But it's like the Night of the Lepus, and you never really see what the Lepus is. But what the Lepus really is, Matt?
They're bunnies. They're cute little bunnies.
with,
the miniature town
Jumping
that they're
over,
running
yeah,
through.
giant rabbits.
And they attack people, and but then when you pull back and you see the actual bunny, you see that they just smeared some ketchup on their mouths.
It's like raspberries.
All they want to do is just get away from the cameras. It's just pathetic.
Are they giant rabbits?
They're
Yeah, yeah.
supposed
Well,
to
they're
be
supposed to be
giant.
giant
They're
rabbits.
So in
like-
other words, the rabbit in what was it? The Holy Grail is
Much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool- that's a cool rabbit.
That's a
more-
great
more
rabbit.
That's a cool
vibe.
rabbit.
Yeah, that's a
Actually,
cool
scarier rabbit.
Yeah.
You know, we've
Yeah.
talked about wanting to maybe remake Night of the Lepus, but do it with
Yes.
real giant, horrific rabbits. I mean, with the technology's around, we could actually do that.
Yes.
You know? Huh? What?
Sure.
I say don't ruin a classic.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah.
It has been
Awesome.
great.
Awesome.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for being with us
Thank
you.
on
Yes.
our Hollywood Halloween extravaganza show.
We want to come back next week. This is great.
Yeah.
Well, if you come back here on Halloween, which is just a few days from now, there's about 8,000 people show up.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Now, when I
gosh.
tell people that, they go, come on, it's not 8,000. And then you come here and see it. Yeah, there's 8,000 people.
Wow.
It's like being at the Greek theaters.
But I will say there are probably people out there in New Jersey or Wisconsin saying, "Oh man, I can't get out to see Rich Correll's house." Well, how? Well, you know what you can do? You can go to YouTube
Oh, yeah.
and you type in Rich Correll Halloween
Yep.
2017
Yeah.
on YouTube,
Yep.
and there's clips of people. They shot some stuff,
Yeah.
and it shows
Yeah, it's
all
pretty
the
awesome.
stuff that people see on
that
Halloween at your place.
that we have right here now.
That's
around
right.
us.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
It's a good thing. If they want to see it, that's where they can go. It's about an 8-minute film. It's not very long, but
Yeah.
it's got a lot of cool stuff in it.
Yeah, but it gives you an idea of what's around and what we're surrounded by and
awesome.
what you can see in the front yard.
Yeah.
Now, Rich, we hinted at this at the beginning of the show, but let's establish it. You do have the largest collection in the world of horror monster
Science
memorabilia.
fiction, fantasy, and horror from memorabilia. It's the biggest collection in the world.
So that
Now,
is a
it's
fact.
the most complete Hollywood memorabilia collection on earth.
Okay, so when we get Guillermo,
You hear
del
that,
Toro-
Larry?
No. I was going to say, so when we get Guillermo
No.
del Toro on the show, in the next couple of weeks, and he goes, "Larry, I heard that the Rich Correll said he had the largest collection." I mean,
That's
Who are you
He's
doing?
Is
His,
that Pierre Lorre?
I can fit Guillermo's collection in my closet.
Wow.
And by the way,
Oh, no, you didn't.
there's a fight going on.
And by the way, I have a lot more Guillermo artifacts than he ever had.
No!
Oh, a lot more.
really?
A lot more from everything.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
That's great.
I think the shape in the water is Guillermo del Toro. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, you heard me.
Well,
Are there
okay.
any plans for the collection? Are you just
I'm
going to...
trying. well, I've been trying to-
What? He's gonna die
No,
tomorrow? No,
no,
this
he-
is his collection. He's
No. That's a good question. I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to put together a science fiction, fantasy, and horror Hall of Fame, much like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, only for
man.
all the fans of those movies,
Nice.
and do it in Times Square, where we have a great tourist thing there, and not only pay tribute to the movies, but as you said earlier, it's like to try to preserve a lot of the stuff because we are preserving a lot of the history by keeping this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to
awesome.
do, and hopefully that would be like headquarters for all the fans.
Yeah.
of this.
Well, I just want to say, if it doesn't work out for New York, there is another town called Hollywood that
Specifically Van Nuys.
Well, the Academy is doing a museum.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
It's not a horror museum.
I know,
It's
I
not a
know.
sci-fi museum,
Yeah.
but they are doing.
Well, I'll just have to write a letter. Rich, thanks again so much. Now, I do want to say there is something really cool that you've done with the Harold Lloyd collection. I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that. You've helped to preserve some of his.
Well, yeah. When I met Harold, we found that the films, he owned his own films, and he kept most of them in vaults at the house. And the nitrate was stored with the safety, and some of the negatives with the positives. And we noticed that a lot of these famous films were beginning to go a bit and deteriorate. So I started working with him, and we started preserving his collection. And now I think, as far as that one particular actor, it's the most complete collection of one particular actor, especially the silent stuff, that there is. And he was sweet and really nice and great to work for. And I got to do this on-the-job training with him. Where we would pull these films down off the shelf and say, "Oh, why worry? 1923." And he said, "Yeah, so let me tell you about how we made that film with Roach and everything." And I would learn this stuff as I was preserving it. So he put up the money to save a lot of the stuff. We made beautiful copies of stuff, and now a lot of it is coming out on Blu-ray, and it's gorgeous. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah.
Well, I just want to
awesome.
say thank you for helping to preserve that. That is
Yeah.
really,
It was a lot of fun doing it.
Now, is there anything that you're working on that we can look forward to in the future? Is there anything you can tell us about? Anything you want to plug?
I'm directing, still directing sitcoms. I've been doing it for years and years. I think last September I directed, or not September, I guess it was back June or something. It was like I did my 708 episodes as a director. And I'm directing Fuller House, which is the remake.
Oh,
Of course, I
yeah.
directed the original 30 years ago. I'm doing that. I just finished a faith-based movie, which is a whole different thing for me, called The Mustard Seed. That was done in Oklahoma. I just got back about 3 weeks ago. And that was a lot of fun, actually. I had a good time doing that. I was in Oklahoma on location for a couple of months, and everybody was really, really nice. The single camera thing was a lot of fun. I loved doing that. We had a great kid in this thing who's the star of the show. But, it's kind of this diverse career of mine. But the funny thing is, as you say, I've got this big collection, but I don't make horror movies.
Well, you're not done yet.
That's right. I'm not done yet. We'll see.
Let's do one.
Yeah.
That's right. Bridget should do one with me.
Well,
Yes.
speaking of Bridget, I'd like to know, Bridget, is there anything you're working on? Something you want to plug here?
Probably just my social media. So you can follow me on Instagram at Bridget Marquardt and Twitter at Bridget.
Mhm.
And then Facebook.
And I'm sorry, because I'm an idiot. At Bridget, how do we spell the Bridget Mark?
Oh, BRIDGET and then MARQUARDT.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yes.
you.
Oh, and I have
Nice.
a YouTube channel too.
Oh,
what is that?
Yeah,
What
I
can we
don't-
find on the YouTube channel?
Well, just a bunch of stuff. I'm not super current on it, but the last one I got to stay in B340 on the Queen Mary. That's the most haunted room in the ship. That's the first one that got to spend the night in there. So I did a video.
Wait. Did anything happen?
No.
Oh.
But listen, not in the room. Nothing happened in the room. But there's some weird stuff that happened on the ship.
Really?
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
That ship's spooky.
The ship is spooky. Quote, Bridget. That's a great byline for that thing. They should use that as an ad. The ship's spooky. That's really cool.
Well, guys,
I like
again,
it.
I'm very, very thrilled because this is Rich Correll's very first podcast.
That's right.
I want to let the listeners know that a few weeks ago we had lovely Lisa Loring, who played Wednesday Addams on the Addams Family.
right.
That was
That's right.
her first podcast. We had another first
Another
podcast.
first.
Rich Correll, a Hollywood giant.
That's right. That's awesome.
And I'm gonna say, here at Monster Party, we are shaking things up.
We
and
are.
as people
All
are
goes
noticing,
down.
Trendsetters.
We are trendsetters. People are looking at us and like,
we have rules.
Yeah, yes, we do. We do have rules. And like Bridget goes, "Hey, I got to get on that show, Monster Party. I got to see what it's
Yeah.
all about with my friend Rich Correll."
That's right.
So
Right.
have you done a podcast before?
I have.
Oh, okay,
All
well,
right.
Get
out.
No, we've had, but Rich has been.
So I'm the only virgin.
But dude, you're a
there
busy
you go.
guy. You're working at Hollywood. You're directing all this stuff. You're creating all this monster stuff in your house. And here you decide, well, I'll do Monster Party as my first.
That's
podcast.
exactly right.
Yep.
Thank
Open
you.
your
There you go.
doors to us.
That's right. Happy to do it.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope you had a great time.
I had a great time. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
You guys are awesome.
Time for listener shout out.
Shout out.
This goes out to RK and Willie, co-hosts of the Toy Tomb podcast.
Yeah. All right.
Wait, the Toy Tomb?
The Toy
Yeah.
Tomb.
What is that?
They
It's a
cover,
podcast.
they cover the lost toys of yesterday, 60s, 70s, and early 80s. They have a podcast, and they were very, very nice. They gave us an amazing plug. I guess they listened to Monster Party.
Yeah, in
Yes,
the most
they
recent
should.
episode, they talk about us.
Yeah, and we were just like blown away because it
Yeah.
was so nice.
Well, like
So
what
sweet.
what did they
So
say?
They
Well,
said we were awesome.
they said we were awesome, Larry.
Well,
They're very well
I mean,
informed, and
Yes.
yeah,
I
they
think
just
you
liked our dynamic. And,
They like the cut of our jib,
Yeah,
it was
they
so
did.
sweet.
but they were very, very complimentary.
And they even began their show a la Matt's opening, which was really
Yeah.
clever.
Oh, so they're trying to steal Matt's opening. I see.
It was an homage.
Interesting.
Look,
Yeah.
interesting. Getting inside your head. That's how
Yeah.
you see it.
Anyway.
Turn an ally into an enemy.
All right. Well, I perhaps I take that back.
So yeah, again, that's the toy.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. The Toy Tomb podcast.
So yeah,
check
people
it
should
out.
check it out.
Yes,
And they
definitely.
cover like different like classic vintage toys like every episode. It's
Well,
like,
they
yeah.
are they like us or
Yeah,
do
they're really hardcore though, but they go super nerd deep into all the
Yeah.
different
Talk-
machinations of the toys. Yeah,
Real birds of a feather.
like
though.
Yeah.
mint and package stuff?
both. Yeah,
Both,
all
yeah.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay. All right.
So thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you. And
Yeah,
also,
thank you.
want to do
thanks, guys.
a shout out to Ernesto Arellano from LA, who is now the proud owner of a Monster Party cap. Ernesto, thank you so much for your
Ernesto,
support.
really good life choice.
Yes, enjoy the cap. It has many stitches.
Yeah.
Also to Richard Weiss, who already has the Monster Party cap and now also purchased the T-shirt. The
Richard!
T-shirt.
Hey,
He's set
thanks,
now.
buddy.
That's all he wears, just the cap and the t-shirt.
Yeah, the chaps are on the way.
Richard out in St. Louis, Missouri, thank you so much for your support. We appreciate it. The Monster Party merch can be found on our eBay store, Monster Party Store, easy to remember.
Yes, it is.
Let's all. Why is that
Why are you
funny?
laughing?
I'm
at
just
that?
laughing because it was easy for him to remember a couple times.
And let's also remind our listeners you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Monster Party TV. Our Twitter handle at Monster Party HQ. On Instagram, we're also Monster Party HQ. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please take a moment, write a review. We would love to hear from you, and
We love
chances
those
are
reviews.
we will read that review on the show. So yes, please go ahead and do that.
Yes. And, I just want to say tonight's episode, we had wonderful Mexican food before we started our show.
We did.
And
From salsa and beer.
Yes. And what better way to top it off than something from one of our sponsors, a shot of Bandero Premium Tequila made in Mexico.
Delicious.
I mean, it's so delicious. I mean, this Bandera Premium Tequila is rich. It's got flora and a sweet with aromas of spice and passion fruit. Matt, you like passion fruit.
I do.
Yeah, it's for an ultra smooth
Listeners,
finish.
if you could see Larry right now, as he's reading this, he's moving his hands around like he's a T-Rex.
Well, but I really love this tequila. I mean, I've been having it all through the night here, which maybe should explain something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great compliment for any Mexican food dinner. Mexican food dinner, or perhaps a discussion about Halloween or anything like that, or anything else for that.
Or when
matter.
you're watching Nazi and Elliot.
No. Oh, man. Well, look, it comes in a beautiful circular bottle with leather straps, and it's
Wow.
It's not hard on the eyes.
It's perfect for parties or everyday life, and usually at the end of the day. So try
And first thing in the morning.
Can I finish this, please?
It's got quite a set of gams.
So try Bandero Premium Tequila, and please drink responsibly. It's delicious.
Wow. Our answer to Ed McMahon. Go ahead.
I also want to give a thanks to our sponsors at Creature Features. Hey, Creature Features. Now, Creature Features is selling a ton of stuff on eBay.
They have leather straps.
Oh, the straps. The Halloween straps.
No, Sean, I don't think they have any leather straps, but if you go to C-Features on eBay, it's their store name on eBay, and you can check out all the amazing stuff they have, like signed books and CDs and DVDs, Blu-rays, models, statues, and all kinds of things to satisfy all your monster needs. I mean, if you can't find them, then you can just go to their website at creaturefeatures.com. It'll give you all the information where you can find their stuff. I also want to give a special thank you to Time Tunnel Toys. Hey! And Time Tunnel Toys. Yes, those guys are great. They're located at 1583 Meridian Avenue in San Jose, California. And Joe and Sharon have a spectacular store filled with all kinds of vintage toys and records, comic books, and Star Wars figures and Godzilla toys, Transformers, kitschy black velvet paintings and posters, and even
what?
the Keep America Strong Watch Horror Films frame picture.
No.
That is beautifully made by Sharon. It's gorgeous. I suggest you check it out. Go to their website at Time Tunnel Toys in San Jose and check out their information on the San Jose Super Toy Comics and Collectibles Show, which is every 4 months. It's a convention filled with over 200 tables of dealers all from across the country selling all kinds of vintage toys.
Cool.
On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong!
Celebrate Halloween Hollywood style. Ooh, la, na, 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 Hollywood.
I love your stash.
These are the better ones, peanut butter.
Reese's Pieces always remind me of Halloween.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah,
I
of course.
think you can't not think of ET.
Yeah, do you know that they were going to use M&Ms and they wouldn't let them do it?
Yeah. The Mars Company.
But they were
screwed
kicking
that
themselves after that.
The Mars Company, and a lot of people lost their jobs after that.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
What are
Reese's
you?
Pieces went up like 200%.
Yeah.
Can I hear you?
bet.
Larry?
Hi.
I can hear you.
Hi. As long as if you can hear me, then that's fine.
Testing.
That's the most important thing.
Turning you up a little
I don't need to hear myself.
I'm here.
Hello.
Okay. I think you're okay because you're registering on this.
Okay.
As long as I'm registering.
We're all good, right?
I mean, I'm not the one in this group that needs to, has problems.
You're not the one in this group that has problems.
No. I have
That is
problems.
not true.
I have problems, but not a problem, speaking out loud.
Okay.
No,
All right.
No problem there.
Good.
Monster Party merch can be bought on our YouTube.
YouTube?
The Monster Party merch can be... Okay.
What have you been drinking?
Give him a second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let him read.
Yeah, a
We
moment.
only have so much time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was starting over.
Hey, so what's the deal with G-Fest?
Smooth.
You know, he brings up a good point.
He's such a professional.
No, but he brings up, he's Mr. Reality, and he wants to
Mr. Reality,
know. No,
yes.
but he wants to know. You guys went on your own. You just said you blew Sean and I off, and you decided to go
That's
on
right.
the
Yeah.
jaunt.
G-Fest in Chicago.
We gave you a different year for the convention just to make sure that you wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So what did you guys do? You hung out? What?
We went to the convention.
It was
and
a lot of fun. It was great. It was some of the most fun I've ever had. And I say that without any irony. I had a wonderful time there.
Well, I did too.
Yeah.
Now,
Cool.
Is it because
Of all things that
is it because you were just with Matt?
Well, of course, there's that. Yeah. But no, it's because we
but of
got to-
all things that have ever happened in your life, I would say that's up there.
well, the best part of it, the single best part of it, was meeting so many listeners
Yes.
to Monster Party.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
That
cool.
was
That's
great.
cool.
And we have recordings of them
Wow.
on hand.
Cool.
Yes, indeed.
Why don't we listen?
No, I'd love to listen to him, please.
Okay. Ears to your computers. So as night descends on G-Fest 2018, Saturday night, I, Matt Weinhold, and James Gonis.
And I, James Gonis.
You don't have to just repeat. You can just go along with it. Say, yes, I am here too. And
Yes, I'm here too. And
okay, God. Anyway, we're here, and who should show up at the bar? Yes, we're at the bar, of course,
Go figure.
because night has descended. Brian Clark, a big fan of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And you wait for night to come to the bar?
Well, I have flasks hidden all over the convention hall.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to meet you guys finally.
Pleasure to meet you. Now,
Actually, I shouldn't say finally because I met James 2 years ago.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. And you're from Iowa, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We're from about 6.5 hours away from here, north central Iowa.
Okay. And you said how many shows have you done of this?
This is my 5th.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. I knew about it for a while. My old college professor, Dr. Joyce Boss, is a longtime attendee and presenter here, and she's the one who turned me on to the convention. So I knew about it for years and never had the money, and finally just started coming and couldn't stop.
Yeah, I need to go every year now. No, it really is a very special convention, and it's nice to have all the stuff that you really love all concentrated in like one tiny area.
Absolutely, yeah. Whenever anyone asks what I'm doing going to Chicago, I tell them it's a Godzilla convention, and I say, forget Disney World, this is the happiest place on Earth.
That's true. I'm sure you would agree with that, James.
Yeah. I mean, after we leave the show, after we check out of the hotel, I'm going to actually be a little depressed. I'm going to be sad, because this has been so much fun in a bottle. It's like everybody here speaks the same crazy language. And I don't get that anywhere else. I mean, yeah, Comic-Con, even Monsterpalooza, but those are so much broader. Here, it's just all about this one crazy thing,
And it is kind of a nice place to go when you're jonesing for Japan. Because, we've been to Japan a number of times, and when you leave there, you get kind of the same feeling. But coming here, it's kind of like bringing Japan to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get the same feeling, James. I spend the whole year looking forward to this, and it takes so long to get here, and it goes by so fast once you arrive. I mean, those 3 days are just gone in a heartbeat. And at the end of Kaiju Confessions that Stan Hyde does, where they do the sing-alongs and stuff, it's very bittersweet. That's a fun thing, but it's always the last thing, and it's hard to leave.
And we all just came from the costume parade. We were just talking about that. Great costumes this year.
Incredible.
Some of those Godzilla costumes, I guess with foam rubber, if some of them were handmade, astonishing. And some really cute novelty ones. There was a guy as astronaut Glenn from Monster Zero.
Really funny.
Yeah, and now they're doing like monologues. It's like performance pieces. Love it.
And we were just talking before we got on mic here about there should be a rule where you can't just buy a costume, put it on, and enter the costume contest, because some of them were just, that's all it was. And if you buy a costume and you've got a whole presentation, then I think maybe you can get in. But they had Godzilla and King Kong fighting. That was fine. But it can't just be walking down the ramp in your store-bought Godzilla costume.
Even though those were store-bought costumes, they had an act. They were putting on a show, and that was fun.
Yes, and that's the way it should be done. Have you ever thought about doing any cosplay?
I am not a handy person. I would not at all. And I would add, I don't think the guys doing the Kong and Godzilla fight thought they were going to win. I think they were just there for a lark. They just wanted to laugh.
And I appreciate that because you kind of need some comic relief in the middle of just looking at amazing foam rubber too. Yeah.
A lot of fun. I mean, it's certainly, we were in the exhibit hall for about 3 hours because it started with Jeopardy, the Godzilla Jeopardy, and then they did their Mangled Skyscraper Awards that they do every year to the special guests. And, some of the presenters got choked up because it means so much to them year after year. And I can understand that. It's a very unique kind of culture for them. It's a very unique thing. And I love being able to share in it.
When did you first get into Godzilla? Is it like a childhood thing?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. My mom rented me Godzilla in 1985 when I was 4 years old because I love dinosaurs, and she thought, here's a dinosaur movie he'll like. And it terrified me and enraptured me, and I think they thought I would get over it. And it's just gotten worse. My obsession has gotten worse, and now I'm spreading it to my kids. I bring my kids with me every year, and yeah.
That suit, too. If that's your first real strong impression of Godzilla, that's an intense one because that is a really scary suit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, did you start collecting as well?
Oh yeah. I've got a big 7-some-odd foot tall china cabinet in the middle of my living room full of kaiju toys, and Bob Eggleton and Matt Frank and Jeff Zorno prints all over my walls, and the cabinet is overflowed. They're just boxes that I haven't even got room to display the figures sitting on, empty video shelves and things. Yeah.
Oh, we know that well. Yeah.
Yep.
Did you find anything fun to buy at this show yet?
I did, yeah. I got an M1 Titanosaurus, one of the kind of iridescent green ones. And I also actually got an original Bob Eggleton of the Guido Goji suit from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. It's from the scene where he's looking up as Rodan is flying over. Yeah, Bob brings usually a couple, 3, 4 original prints with him original canvases with him every year. And I was lucky enough to snag one that had not been claimed yet. So.
Wow, that's fantastic. He's so wonderful. We haven't been to the Artist Alley yet, so we're going to do that tomorrow. We were going to go, and it was at the end of the day, and they were closing down. But have you been to that, and have you seen a lot of good artwork?
Yeah, I went down there and picked up a print from Jeff Zorno of Batman vs. Godzilla as a present for a friend of mine, and then I picked up one of his poster-sized Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster prints that he did specifically for this year. So,
have you been to the game room?
No, I'm not a big video game kind of guy. My son likes to go and play in there, but yeah, I don't do much with the video games.
And so, what do you got left? Is there any last-minute things you're gonna add to your list of fun things to do for G-Fest?
Just a couple more panels tomorrow, maybe one last swing through the dealer room. You can always maybe find a couple of deals on the last day when everyone doesn't want to pack quite so much stuff up to take home with them. But
exactly, get them 10 minutes before it ends and go I'll give you $25 for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I've gotten some good deals that way.
Now, Brian, did you mention earlier that you have a podcast of your own?
Oh, yeah, I'm on Attack of the Killer podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher and all the other good places you can find podcasts.
We will. We know those places well. Well, thanks for talking to us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.